And that was our cold open.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really do be like that.
It really do be like that.
Gen Z. With that, I guess we'll open up this episode of the Chorbier Chats podcast. Welcome to my guests. We have Sandi and Jess Brock in the house. I got the Brock girls here.
Heck yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming all the way out here today. My back is going to, I am hunched. This is not ergonomic by any means, but you got to do what you got to do and
Do it for the pod.
you got to do it for the pod. And this, whatever. You know what? It is what it is. Can you just walk me through what this cocktail is again? Gin
That is a gin sour.
Gin sour.
Because I believe you asked last year, what's the drink? What are you drinking right
Yeah.
now? And it popped in my head this morning when I was getting ready. I'm like, ooh, we were talking about gin sours because I just started drinking them. So here we are.
And here we
and
are.
I've drank a lot of them. So yeah,
You've
bottoms
got,
up.
It's incredible. And it's like art. There's like,
Yeah, little angle on the top.
I'm trying
I know
not to
it picks
swallow
up-
in the
it picks up
microphone. It's
everything.
disgusting. The sounds.
Some people like that.
And even your own, bold of you to bring glassware.
You
Like
have to-
knowing
you
me,
have
I don't
to
want to
bring-
break it.
You have to bring the glassware.
It's okay if you do.
But I forgot the shaker and the shot glass.
Shaker. Yeah. Did you use the little teacup? I didn't
did.
even see. Okay,
And it was perfect.
That's amazing. And I'm really enjoying it. And then I was just saying, it's my first cocktail of the year. So what a good one to break the dry spell, I guess.
I can't relate.
Can't relate.
I
I've
moved
had a
back.
few.
I moved back to university. So
Right. When did you go back? I remember seeing this
on the
but I have-
8th, January 8th.
January 8th. What
Yeah.
day is it now?
I don't know.
Okay.
18th.
Oh.
10 days ago.
10 days ago. Okay. And we've already like racked up the numbers of
yeah.
the cocktails.
Yeah.
Okay. What have we been doing? Like fancy ones?
No, we've been
Okay.
doing like
Budget
University.
friendly?
like student.
I was going to say.
poor college student cocktails.
I was going to say, if you're rolling like that, like that's
no.
different.
Yeah.
That's a
So it's
different-
like the cheapest gin
Yeah.
and soda water, and that's actually it. So
That's it. You don't do like a little lime?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I don't think, actually, you know what? I was going to say, I don't think limes are that expensive. You know what?
if I'm feeling bougie,
probably
I'll maybe
are.
do some lemon juice, but that's it.
Okay. Like just straight
Yeah.
from the lemon juice bottle. We're not like doing produce.
No, I've trained her well.
That's perfect.
Lemons go bad. I'm not
You're
gonna have
right.
a whole lemon. So.
That lemon juice bottle, it doesn't that last, like it has like a year shelf life or more.
I hope so
Ever,
because it's been a
always.
while.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been back at school. And what school are you at again?
University of Guelph.
University of Guelph.
Yeah.
Griffins?
Yes.
I was like, Griffins in the
Good job.
house. I'm like, I don't remember what it is. Go sports. Oh, and speaking of sports, is this a Griffins?
This is actually the Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Yeah, I was hoping Mom would wear her Taylor Swift sweater,
I
and then
was
I'd
going
be like
to.
Travis Kelce.
I thought I had to
but
get like a little more dressed up today. That's
Oh.
my like every morning.
Sorry.
That is my every morning hoodie. So I thought I'd change.
I definitely did not get dressed up. I was like, this isn't just, I should wear this because they're coming. I literally had to put this in the wash last night because I wear it so often. I'm like, I can't wear it tomorrow because it's filthy. I think
just
like the
wash it.
sleeves are stained. This
Yeah.
is
oh,
fresh.
so are mine.
Yeah. Okay.
It's runny nose season. So.
Yeah. You gotta like, it's gotta go somewhere.
They're too cheap. She's a student. She can't afford Kleenex.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started.
We already talked about this.
Yeah,
It's
the
toilet paper,
toilet paper.
and paper towel if we're desperate.
But,
and bougie.
So wait, where are you living at school?
I just live in a like townhouse
Okay.
outside of school.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, is it a dorm where you don't have to
No.
pay for toilet paper? Because that
No.
would be ideal. Okay.
No.
I mean, it's not ideal. That would not be ideal.
It's not ideal toilet paper, but I have debated a few times going in there and like
Yeah, just
hijacking
swiping
a roll. But
They'd never know.
I don't. I'm not quite that desperate yet.
Not yet. We're not there yet. Never say
How do
never.
you guys-
Keyword
How
yet.
do you guys figure out who buys that stuff? Who buys toilet
Yeah.
paper?
Do you have roommates?
Yeah. It's really just whoever it runs out on.
Okay.
Like whoever's
Fair.
desperate enough, they're like, okay, that is actually
need
mission
it.
number 1 today.
Yeah, fair. Because that's a rough one to run out of. Yeah. Because you can, like, if you run out of Kleenex, you can use alternatives. But when you run out of toilet paper, it gets a little
A
trickier.
little dicey. And
Yeah.
You can't just run out on roommates.
No.
Finding stuff to use.
No. How many roommates do you have?
5 girls. There's 5 of us total.
Total.
Yeah. And then there's 2 more people in the basement.
Oh.
So they just like
And
really
ask her
just-
how big the house is. It's not very big.
I don't know anything about square footage.
So-
You don't want to know
Me
anything
neither.
about university housing anywhere because it's like if
okay,
and,
so
and the price.
It's the dream
ridiculous.
though. Like it's like the standard, like universe.
It's a
like,
student house. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they turned the dining room into a bedroom.
And that's where she abides.
Oh,
They're really
and they put a
getting-
door on it. Like,
Yeah.
so there's no dining room. It's just like you live here and there's a kitchen and a bathroom that the toilet paper runs out of a lot on.
And it's bright yellow.
The bathroom or your room?
The bathroom.
Oh, well,
You know what? Seems appropriate.
that might help. Cheers it up a little bit. Okay. And what are you at Guelph for?
Food
That
and
wasn't
egg.
a sentence, was it?
I understood.
Okay. Gen Z.
It's okay. Yeah.
She gets it.
Food and egg business.
Okay. And how much do you have left of that?
A year and a half, I
Okay,
think.
sweet. What do you want to do with that? Do you know?
No.
Whatever. We're just
We'll
rolling
see.
with it.
We'll see.
Exactly.
Degree is step one. We'll see what we
Okay.
do with that later.
I love that. And that's Gen Z in a good way because it's like non-Gen Z was like, we have to know what we're doing. What is the
Bingo.
end result? And then no one fucking does what they're doing anyway. So that is the mentality I wish
They
I
already
had.
know. They don't know what they're doing.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. Or at least we did. We knew we didn't know what we were doing, but
Yeah.
we pretended like we did. And that was our downfall. All of us. So good for
Yeah.
you, Gen Z. I'm impressed. So obviously we're all Swifties here. I mean,
Yes.
A little bit.
obviously. And I don't think that's just that's obviously not a Gen Z
And
thing.
3
We're-
generations.
Yeah. Wait, what are you?
Oh, I'm
Gen X.
Gen X. What do they say about Gen X?
Like, we raised ourselves. We are the most cynical, critical, self-deprecating, probably generation
okay.
possible.
Checks out.
It's pretty accurate.
It tracks.
Oh my gosh, we have three generations
We have 3
today.
generations.
Wow, this is amazing. The cultural experiences we have, and yet we all have common ground. Taylor,
Taylor.
Yes.
boom,
And Laurel. We both watch Laurel.
and Laurel.
Yeah. Jess, we drove in today and Jess like, Birdie. Oh my God, I feel like
She's
I was like, I feel like I'm
I
fangirling.
feel like I'm
she's
in a
read.
movie.
She's like, you can't leave without a meeting. I already told her, I'm like,
Bernice.
we're gonna have company today. Be on your best
Yeah.
behavior.
She was wagging her tail when we got here.
She's ready.
Yeah.
I had something I was gonna say now I can't remember, but so you're Gen X, I'm millennial, you're Gen Z. I think with Gen X they say it's like the ... usage. Is that you? No, it's not you. It's definitely not you. I regret even saying that. It's
I don't
definitely
even know
Oh,
not
what that
you.
is.
Like
I ... everything. So it might track.
I don't know.
You
I don't
look
feel
at
like
any
I've had.
look at all my titles on YouTube. ...
Okay, but I mean more in the context of like
I don't finish my sentence.
no, it's like where someone will be like, like if I'm texting you, when are you coming? ...
Oh.
Like I would look at that and be like, fuck, is she mad or something?
Oh, like it looks like I'm responding?
No,
Or
like,
just
it
like
looks
I would
you're
just say ...
but you don't mean it that way. But it's like, do you not see that like, do you know what I mean?
I haven't even
Like
heard of
understanding like text lingo. Like
that.
K
Yeah, so I
is
don't-
like
No,
you're
you're
upset, or like ... as in like you don't know yet, but you didn't just say I to
I
K.
didn't know that. So I must,
Like that's kind of what I'm.
maybe I'm boomer.
Is that what you mean?
I don't know how to explain it. I think it's just when the ... ellipses, is that what they're called? Ellipses?
that
It
is
is
what
when the
they're called.
ellipses are used probably incorrectly, but maybe correctly, but like we're
we don't
younger,
know.
but we think we're like, that means something, but they're like, they honestly just like don't mean it, but you're like, are you mad at me? And everything is ... Like, when are you coming ? You're like, fuck, are you mad? Like, it looks like you're mad.
Oh,
Do you know what I
see.
mean?
I see. Okay, so they're actually using punctuation the proper way, but we don't use it the proper way.
That's probably it.
Yeah. So they're like
Yeah.
actually we're illiterate and they're not.
Correct.
So-
yeah, it's the same, like equating to like the K being like, okay, so you're mad.
So you're mad.
Or like the
You hate
fucking
me.
thumbs up.
Don't even get me started on that.
Or like,
I know, like, I have like a list of people that use the thumbs up, and it's like
you write it down every time. You're like,
no,
you're
I
now
just know,
on my,
I just
my shit
know,
list.
I
You're
just
bad.
know I will respond something and I will get a thumbs up. I know before they even reply, and it's pretty stereotypical.
And it's always my dad.
Okay.
Always.
He's one. Yep.
Or it's like the iMessage thing, how you can react to a message.
That's me.
Do you do that? Is that a Gen Z thing then?
Yeah.
The bridge is gap is bridging? What?
The bridge.
The gap is being bridged from Gen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That.
We're picking it up. We're picking
Are
up
you
what you're doing
kidding?
now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
Like
can't.
all my none of us say anything. Like in my friends group chat, we all don't say anything. It's just all reactions to other people's chats.
I can't.
Yeah.
can't.
We're unwell though, so.
Yeah. Okay. So common ground is Taylor Swift and like some degree of mental illness for sure. We're all the same.
And we're
all the same.
and the three of us are very self-aware.
Yes, that's key. This
and
is key.
not ashamed to talk about it.
Exactly.
Not all generations are.
That's right. We are the exception, I would say.
I'd say.
I love that. We should take a generational photo today.
We should.
We should.
And we're all tall. I'm maybe the shordest one here.
You are the shortest.
I forget. Like I get flustered and then you'll leave and I'll be like, oh my God, we didn't take pictures. So do not forget. Okay. Because I was so busy staying up. I didn't take, I only got a pic of my gin sour. I was going to say, I keep wanting to say smash.
Well, there is a gin smash. It was
But
lovely.
that's not. That's a sour.
I'll do that next time.
Okay. I won't know the difference. I'll love it either
have
way.
we discussed yet that I'm pretty sure I was on season 1? I think I met you a year ago today. Not met you, but I came down and did.
Are you sure?
I'm not 100% positive.
Okay. Because maybe
it was
right.
January. I mean, I could check my calendar. Would it still be there? Would it be
I don't know. I'm trying to look at pictures. You know, that's my calendar because
I know, same.
I have to
But
know.
I don't know if we took a picture.
I can't remember.
Podcast with Laurel, 3 p.m. January 19th.
You're lying. Wait.
No, it's on my.
tomorrow.
It's on my. So it's a year ago tomorrow.
That's weird.
I know.
I'm unwell from that. That's actually weird.
That's.
But like, no,
Universe.
that's weird. Okay, weird in a good way.
We're a little witchy. The three of us are a little witchy.
I want to be a witch. I think I would aspire to be a witch.
Same.
Speaking of which, oh, I think I already told you this. Do you remember
Speaking of which?
the witch? So I have I already told you this, but remember I have like tiny little oh my God, what words?
Ouija boards?
Yeah. So I have tiny little
Yes.
Ouija boards. They're like
Yes.
novelty. They're like, I mean, I haven't tried them because I don't want to invite the spirits into the mercantile. We don't need spirits in the podcast studio. We have enough fucking technical glitching as we have.
Technical is the spirits.
Yeah, exactly. But when you had first given me a shout out on your YouTube video,
You would have had some people not happy about the Ouija boards.
yeah. Sometimes I like to take an adventure and look in your comment section on YouTube, and it's fucking crazy. Not 90%. Actually,
No,
I don't
it's
know
a
numbers.
case.
There's
It's a case
wonderful
study
people.
on human behavior. My comment section. If I had all the time in the world, you could almost make a channel about the comment section,
I wanted to.
right?
I was
like a reaction channel to comment section.
like I got lost in it.
Yeah.
Because someone had mentioned that they liked, I liked Laurel's story, but then I saw she had
A Ouija
but then I was
board.
sad that she had a Ouija board. And I just couldn't help. I was like, I'll bite. I'm like, why are you sad? Why did you make you sad? Just live your life. Don't worry. Would it make you feel better if I told you it's a
demons.
children's toy? Don't worry.
Oh.
Anyway, that was on the topic of witchcraft. That like I'm not ashamed of witchcraft. I feel like I would be really open to that.
I've been reading, and
having
I'm
that.
just reading way too many books. I'm like, witches are kind of cool.
I mean, I feel like I'm haunted, so
Yeah, Jess
like
is
that's
all
kind of a
about,
side
Jess
story,
is-
but like I'm
are haunted?
Yeah,
Okay, I do need
like
kind of.
not
She's
bad
had-
juju,
no,
but like
she's
we
had-
have.
So the
I have
spirits
juju.
are here. The spirits are here because they're inside of you or something.
I've had
I've had
what's
experiences.
that called? Not extraterrestrial. What's it called?
Paranormal.
Paranormal.
Oh,
She's had
extraterrestrial.
Close.
I understand.
Same thing.
English is hard.
It's the Gen X, the Gen Z. We knew what you were saying.
Yeah.
We, the Gen Zs, knew what you were saying.
Paranormal.
You've had paranormal activity.
Experiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need one at least.
What about the chair at your
The
friend's
chair was
house?
kind of spooky.
I don't
so
like this already.
The
so
rocking
there's
chair?
a set of friends that
Nope.
I've been friends with like
Okay.
my whole life, and they're three sisters, and I only have experiences with them.
Three sisters just sounds like witches.
And
Yeah,
two are twins.
Two are twins, and the other
No.
one is a year
Younger.
and a week
so they're
apart.
almost triplets.
Nope. Okay.
So-
I'm already checked out of this conversation.
Yeah. So anytime I have an experience, it's always with them.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I think I'm just like I'm the open one to it, but I'm
Medium.
like
Yeah.
the
then you understand.
translator.
You're like
yeah.
the aura it travels through you. It needs
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
No. I hate
So
this.
I was over at another friend's house, but those three girls were with me.
Okay. So you brought your haunted friends to
Pretty much.
Okay. Got you.
So-
Possessed, whatever.
Exactly. So it was like a sleepover,
The Charmed
and we're
sisters.
all like dead asleep because it's like
Dead asleep.
middle of the night. Which probably like,
don't like where
let's
this
be
is
real,
going.
it was probably 3 a.m. because
Okay.
obviously.
Yeah.
And we all just like suddenly woke up at the same time. And we all kind of just look at each other and we're like, why are we all like awake? And there's a rocking chair right beside all of us, but like not close to us where we could like touch it or anything, but it just starts going like aggressive. Not even like a slow, like aggressive.
Like
And then it
was
stopped.
in it.
Like suddenly stopped. Like didn't slow down to stop. It just stopped.
Stop it.
That's it. That's the story. But
Okay.
it was spooky.
Did you shit? Like, what happened?
No, we all just went back to bed.
Nope.
They were little, and you were little. Like,
We were
how old
young.
were you?
Yeah. So we didn't think anything of it, right? We were like, oh,
I would. I'd be like, Mom.
weird, but whatever. Going back to bed.
So
I don't care.
Kenzie, oh, paranormal activity, whatever. That's a Wednesday.
Call my mom.
Yeah. So like
Get
that
me out of
happened.
here.
We all were like, no one has
Night,
talked
I'm
about
going back
it.
to bed.
No one has talked about it to this day. We all just kind of looked at
Did
each
we
other.
just fucking invite the spirits back?
You've never talked to them again?
No, we never talked about that situation. We talked about other situations, but not that
You
one.
just opened the portal.
And then we all just went back to bed.
She's opened it before. We've talked about it.
Yeah, I've opened up a few portals in my life.
Thank God
but-
she didn't tell me this when she was like 10.
Yeah, so I was probably like 10 or 11
No.
when it happened. Yeah.
Like, why would that freak you out? She's totally cool with it.
Wow.
It wasn't evil, so it's fine.
That's right. So maybe
Like,
you
it's
just,
fine.
you knew because you have some sort of paranormal, I don't know what the right word is,
The
but
sixth sense.
whatever that you could, like, you're the medium, you knew, like, the aura, you weren't freaked out because you're like, this is good aura, it's fine. No, any aura, bye.
The rocking chair.
I'm like
If I
as
saw
afraid of the
that-
dark, dude.
If I saw that today as a
I would
48-year-old,
leave my children. I would be like, sorry, but, like,
I would need to
Yeah.
go directly to the laundry and change my pants.
yes, immediately.
Like,
Immediately. That's not okay. That sounds made up. I'm choosing to believe that that's made up.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So basically, you have paranormal experiences. Okay. But also, just a quick, listen to this smooth transition. You've also had other experiences,
I've had a lot of experiences in my short
not just
21
paranormal or
years.
extraterrestrial.
A lot in the last 2, for sure.
Yeah.
Two, even back to
Yeah.
It started
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Like now.
Okay.
Now.
Surgery was 2 years ago, December, right?
Yep.
December 21.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
context being
She's a long
I
story.
had cancer.
period.
Later.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
That's how it ended.
And so like, just like the internet, or like parasocial relationships or whatever, I know I've followed along with everything, but I can't keep track of dates or times or orders of operation.
Neither can I sometimes. So it's
Exactly. Perfect. That's why I was like, I look back to like my photos, like, oh yeah, this happened then. Cause
Same.
I have no idea.
I have to do my monthly newsletter, and I have to do that.
Like, what did we do?
I have to look at my photos to
Yes.
see what life did
Exactly.
in the month.
Yes.
In a month. I can't
Yeah,
remember a month.
I literally today I'm like, what fucking day is it today? I don't even know. So that being said, I followed along with your story, but let's, if you don't mind, can we kind of start at the beginning ish and
Yeah.
kind of like go by the milestones to refresh me, and also
Yeah.
like, you know, it's
a whole story.
Well,
It's a
and,
whole
I,
story.
and we didn't start sharing it until we had a diagnosis. Like I sorted it on YouTube. People were like, "What's going on?" Like, and
Right.
people that saw it, they were like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Well, it's not my story. It's not my story."
right. So
not my
it's kind of
story."
like
So
when
it
you
was-
watch a movie and it's like a thinker, and then at the end you're like, oh wait, and then you have to watch it again to like put the pieces together. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
we got
but
all
we
the
didn't
pieces.
share. We didn't share. That was a decision that both Mark and I'm like, I share everything online, so it was very hard to keep
Yeah.
that because it's affecting your everything. And me, I
Right.
wear my emotion on my face, on my sleeve, everywhere.
Except if you're Laurel and you come to shoot photographs of lambs and had no idea.
But when I'm lambing, I always look like a dead zombie. So
Fair, okay,
you just
fair.
came at the perfect time.
Right.
You would never be able to
Right.
say, "Oh, she must have had a cancer
Right.
diagnosis."
Oh, that was it. That definitely was it.
That's just, she's just having a bad
Shit.
lambing day.
Oh my god.
They all look the same.
So-
But no, yeah. So we didn't really start sharing it until you came out. I said I'm not sharing it until she shares it
Right.
because it's
Yeah.
her story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it all goes back to, I want to say like September 2021. So when I left to go to university is kind of when everything kickstarted.
Okay.
So a while ago.
Right. I know. I'm like
Yeah.
2021. Yes.
Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I went off to university, I started to experience some serious like back pain.
Okay.
But I also was like, okay, I'm in a dorm bed that
Yes.
is literally like a school mat. Like it's nothing. Like those sport mats. Nothing.
A yoga mat.
Right.
A yoga mat. Like I'm
Yeah.
sleeping on the floor,
Not
basically.
ergonomic.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, surely there's nothing wrong. It's just a sore back. And it's actually funny because if you go back through my old videos, there's a video when I moved to school. And in it, it's like, my back really hurts. And I was just like, oh, girl, if only you knew. If only
They
you
were
knew.
the spirits were trying to tell you.
They were.
They really were. They really were.
Okay.
That
Anyways.
chair was rocking.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't ever want to see a rocking chair again. Ever again.
Anyways, so that's kind of what, it was my first symptom, was a sore back.
Okay.
Later on, I started to experience some serious bladder issues, but I've always had bladder issues growing up, just like really weird. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. How would you explain it?
So yeah, she was at Sick Kids when you were.
Oh.
You were
When I first hit puberty, so like maybe like 15.
Yeah, like she was
shortly after the spirits. Sorry, I'm going to keep bringing it back to the spirits.
She was like her height and going into Sick Kids with like little babies.
It was really awkward.
It was awkward. She was at that awkward like 17.
between,
Like
yeah.
by the time we got her to that point, and they were like, oh, because she was just having issues. She always felt like her bladder was full. And then she's like, but I can't pee, so I'm not full. So she wasn't sleeping well. And it just, so you didn't really think much of the bladder issue. She was like, oh, it's back to what it was when I was little.
Yeah.
And But then it kind of started to get worse. So like back when I was little and I just felt like I had to pee, but I couldn't, it was like that. But then suddenly I'm like no control over my bladder.
Okay.
So like
Okay,
I'm a
red
university
flag,
student,
yeah.
like literally peeing my pants, like fully peeing my
Okay.
pants. Also, I hope none of this is TMI, but I'm just gonna.
Oh, no,
Like it's we're
no,
getting into
I-
it.
for people
This
to
is like the
know.
full story.
No, and it's great.
Yeah.
This is what I want. I would love for you to share as much as you want to
Yeah,
share.
no,
So
yeah.
not TMI for me.
So that was like my red flag. That was like, okay,
Right.
something's not right.
Right,
Like
that
this
would make
is
me be
kind of
like,
an issue.
okay.
I shouldn't have to wear an adult diaper at like 17, 18. So anyways, right away I called my doctor and got an appointment in, and I was like, something's not right. I don't know if it's like what I used to deal with or what. Anyways, so I got into my doctor, like my family doctor. And so this is like November, October maybe.
So Halloween, you went out Halloween night.
Yeah.
But it was like November 4th, I think you went for your like they sent you for an ultrasound.
It took me a bit to get into the
Yeah.
doctors, and it took me a bit to like really call them, to be honest.
Yeah,
but
fair.
anyway, so I got into the doctors, and she kind of was like, okay, well, we'll just book an ultrasound, see if anything looks weird, whatever. And so we did that, and the ultrasound was like November 26th.
Yeah, it was like
November 26th.
Yeah.
And I remember I did the ultrasound, and the technician was being sus. So I was like, okay, red flag.
come
Something
on.
is wrong. Something
They
is
won't
so
tell
wrong.
you anything.
Well, at least have a fucking poker face then.
I'm like,
Yeah,
bro,
exactly.
like, come on.
because then you have to wait for.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, I was like,
No matter what you see, you hide that shit.
and
with your face.
and she knows her body as as I found out over the last
I'm
couple
very
years.
aware of like what's going
Yeah.
on,
So
and I'm
she
also very aware of other people. Like I'm very empathetic.
I was
so
just gonna
I
say
can sense things.
the situation with the ultra. I feel like other people that maybe that would have flown, but like I am the same with you. This is why I can never have surprise parties or anything like that. Like I immediately know. I'm
I
like
know.
something's sus.
Yeah.
So I get that.
I'm
Okay,
like-
so you picked that up.
yeah, I was like, something's not right. But I was like, okay, whatever, it's fine.
So
like,
how long did you have to wait to?
So I went back to school that night. 7 a.m, I get a phone call. Woke me up from the dead sleep because I'm a university student. Like I sleep all day.
Like 12 hours later, they called you. Like
Not even.
Oh,
My appointment was at 4
okay.
p.m.
So it was like first thing the next
First thing
morning.
in the morning. So I'm like, okay, my doctor must have just called me ASAP Rocky. Sorry.
I loved it. I love it.
Anyways.
It makes me feel young. Keep the Gen Z references coming. I'm gonna get
Drives
the
her
Gen Z
father
crowd in.
crazy.
Okay, anyways.
A$AP Rocky.
What did you just say?
Dr. Callback A$AP Rocky.
So doctor called me like first thing in the morning, and I'm like, it woke me up, and I was like, this is the doctor. Didn't even look at my phone. I'm like, it's the doctor. Something's wrong. So I didn't pick it up because social anxiety. It just
I'm like, something's wrong. I don't want to know.
like I don't
Leave
talk
a
on the
message if it's
phone.
important.
Yeah,
I don't talk on the
exactly.
phone.
I always do it.
If something's wrong, they'll leave a
She
message.
gets that from me. We
I'm
hate
like,
the phone.
Have
Don't
a phone
call
with
me
do not
ever.
call. Yeah, same.
Phone calls? No, thank you. Anyways, so I didn't pick up the phone. My bad. And so I text mom right away. I'm like, something's wrong. The doctor's calling me. It's 7 a.m. She's in Saskatchewan for something. I'm like, okay, whatever. She proceeds to call my mom.
No, the other doctor called me.
Okay, well, my mom gets
Her
a phone call.
partner called me.
Do you want to share that experience?
Oh God, that was
So they're like, we gotta.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I'm next of whatever. I'm guardian on the sheet, likely. So he called me, and
is this like your GP or whatever?
it's actually her partner. So I was like, I'm like, why are you calling? And this was like post-COVID, so they're still like working out. Like the one's working at home, he's still in the office.
Right.
He's like, oh my God, the mom, like we need to get this girl back in as soon as possible, because I think he just saw the ultrasound sitting, like the file sitting there. So I think he took it upon himself, and he's like, he called and he's like, are you Jessica Brock's guardian, mom, whatever? I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, okay, well, so I'm looking at her ultrasound right now, and is it okay that I can share her information? Like, it was very like
by the book,
whatever, yeah, but very soft spoken and very kind. And I'm like, where is this going? And he's
spit it out then.
I'm like, what the hell? We were in the drive-through at McDonald's in Brandon, Manitoba. We were driving from Saskatchewan to the Winnipeg airport.
And you'll never forget that.
Never. I couldn't eat McDonald's. We couldn't eat McDonald's for like a year, and that's big for this girl.
Wow.
Anyway, he said the ultrasound is showing a enormous mass in your daughter's abdomen.
Use the word enormous.
Huge, enormous,
whatever,
big
one. Okay.
Mass is what he said in her abdomen.
Okay.
And he's like, we don't know if it's cancer. That's like what he opened with.
But you know what?
I'm like,
to be fair, you don't want to hear that. But you're also like, thank you.
So then I just my brain just went, what?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what is a mass? Is a mass a tumor? And he's like, it's a tumor.
Questions,
it's a tumor.
You would have.
And he's like, usually if they're big, it's not cancer.
Okay.
So rest easy.
Okay.
I cried for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I cried all the way to I cried all the way from Brandon to Winnipeg. I cried in the parking lot. We got pulled out of line in security because I think they probably thought Mark was beating me or kidnapping me. And I saw like a couple with a boy and a girl, like that were like when we first started taking them on flights, like to go places, like when we did. And I have never cried so much in my life. But I think looking back, I'm like, I'm glad. Like I grieved then. I grieved that day because I'm like, she's got cancer. This is a cancer diagnosis.
But it wasn't.
Yeah, fast forward it.
Not yet.
Wait.
Not yet. Oh, it's a long story.
But your reaction, obviously,
that
you
day,
assumed the worst.
That day, because there was, it's funny how life just like full circles, and we'll get to it. But that was it was a bad, rough day. So I got that call. We got on the flight, and then by the time we got to Toronto, how did it happen? You were coming home that night?
Yeah. So the doctor did leave me a message and pretty much was like, we found something on the ultrasound. We need you to come in first thing in the morning, like the next day.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I was like, in my head, I was also going through worst case scenario. But then mom was like, oh, you're probably fine. Whatever. This was before mom got her phone call.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I had an exam that day. So I kind of was just like,
oh, God.
Honestly, I was like rough for an hour. And then I was just kind of like, whatever. I can't do anything right now. I'm going to study. It's fine.
That's impressive. Is that a Gen Z thing?
I don't know.
That's impressive.
I'm a very internal person. So I can yeah.
Okay.
Disconnection.
Okay.
So
we got through the exam.
So I got through the exam. I actually did kind of good on it too.
Just
to say.
Slay. We're not still slaying slay, I don't think, are we?
Not really.
I
but
do,
it's
though.
okay. Yeah, so I got to the exam and I was like, all right, I'm going to head home now. I have my ultrasound or whatever appointment the next day. And so I drove home and then I got home talking to mom and dad, whatever. And then that's finally when they sat me down and they're like, okay, well, we got this call later on. So that's when she told me about the whole call about the mass, whatever, because I didn't know any of this yet. And so then I was like, shit, like, this is not good.
Right.
Like, fantastic.
Well, I didn't want to tell her before she had to drive home from Guelph. So I said to Dad, I said to Mark, I'm like, I cannot lie to her. And he's like, don't
lie.
Give like, you're going to come home. This is what we're going to do in the morning. We'll figure it out together. And then
you actually did a really good job, because usually I can suss you up.
And I wasn't
easy.
crying.
I was gonna say,
I got the tears out. So I'm glad I cried for like 8 hours before I saw her.
Yeah, we didn't really talk that day that much though, because I was studying. You had your flight.
Well, we were on the flight.
It was fine.
Probably best case scenario in that respect,
because I can't hide stuff. Like she can tell from me. Yeah. She can tell from other people.
Yeah.
So anyways, we go to the appointment the next day. It's me and Mom, and that's when my family doctor, she's a very like high energy, fast paced kind of girly, and she like sat down. Oh. And I was like,
sus.
This is not looking good. And so she kind of walked us through it, and she was like, yeah, we see this mass, but they couldn't see what it was attached to on the ultrasound because it was so big. It was just taking up my whole like abdomen. They're like, it's attached to something in your...
What was it? 20 centimeters?
It was the size of a football.
Wow.
Yeah, it was huge. And so they're like, we can't really tell what it's attached to.
Because it was so big. It just
we're gonna
took
have
up
to,
the whole...
we're gonna have to book a CT scan so they can see it better. And we're like, okay, whatever. So she keeps talking about like this mass, and then finally, in the appointment, she does like a what's that called? Like an
external physical,
laid
you down and lifted up your top.
Yeah, so laid me down, and I like put my top up a bit, and she just kind of like was pushing on my stomach and stuff. But that's when, laying down, we could really see it. Like we could see the mass. But
you had never noticed it really?
I was like, I'm just getting the freshman 15. Like it is what it is.
It was so sad. Like it was so. I'm like, oh my god. Like, I saw her laying there, and I was like, the doctor turned to me, like as if to say, "Have you not seen this?" And I'm just like,
I know.
I don't see my daughter without her top on laying down. Like it's just not something we do.
Because I'm tall. Like it. Yeah. When I'm standing up, it's stretched.
Because she wears crop tops, and like you wouldn't know it when she's standing up, and you know, like you couldn't.
Well, the
tell.
taller it is, it
just spreads out.
Better.
It spreads.
Yeah.
But when she laid down, she not a word. I have pictures. She looks 6 months pregnant.
I feel like, have you posted this picture? I feel like I've seen it.
I think so.
I feel like
posted it in a reel. Maybe
I think I've seen something.
Yeah.
Okay. It was
it's like,
and then
big.
You were like, oh, we're connecting the dots.
I just felt so dumb. Like I was like, oh my god, how did I not notice that? And
but at this point, I wasn't living at home.
Yeah.
So,
and again, also still, when is she laying with her shirt up?
And it's the winter. I'm like,
belly.
I wear oversized like men's clothing.
Yeah,
like of course you're not gonna.
You're gonna try to not be critiquing your daughter's body.
Exactly.
You're like, all right, let's give her some
see
space.
We were just getting done harvest. Like I literally didn't see her. So,
So that's kind of when everyone was like, oh crap, like this is not good. So we book in a CT scan for like,
it's Ontario, took a while. So it took like 9-10 days, I think.
Which looking back, like that was kind of a while to be honest. But anyways. For an emergency CT scan. Like, that's what it was classified as.
That was an emergency? Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So, anyways, later on, I'm moving on. I'm going back to school. I'm trying to get the semester done because at this point, it's like, I'm in exams. Yeah. And I'm like, I might have cancer in me right now. That's fantastic. Whatever. Got to do exams. So I did.
You just like, were you able to compartmentalize and
for
like
the
close
most
that
part,
off? Yeah.
For the most part. Like, I went home a lot though because my biggest issue was like, being around all my friends who were like just living their life, and I was like, "You guys suck! Like, why is this happening to me?"
Did they know? Like
they knew.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They all were up to date pretty much the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that point, I started to get extreme back pain. Like it was getting really bad, and then I was also getting like.
And then you were starting to. Then she was starting to double over. So, like, there
was
like, quite a few times she was driving.
Was this before, like,
after
waiting for the
CT
scan? So it just like, it exponentially got worse within, like, days of that meeting with the doctor and getting her.
Yeah, the symptoms got significantly worse, like, right away.
Really fast.
And so, at this point, I wasn't able to sleep because I couldn't get comfortable. And my back was, like, insanely painful, and of course I'm like going through worst case scenario in my head every day.
Right.
So At this point, I wrote most of my exams. I went home. I had one more exam left to study. So I'm like going to the bathroom to throw up because I'm in so much pain. Coming back, studying.
Didn't you almost pass out in the cafeteria?
Yeah,
And
I
that's
almost
the day
passed
you came
out.
home?
That's the day I came home because I was like, okay, this is not good.
No.
Came home, barely even, I probably shouldn't have drove. I was struggling. Got home. I'm like in the bathroom on the floor.
That's where I found her. When
in
I came
pain.
in. Yeah.
Like it was
like
rough.
wailing.
Rough.
Like contractions.
So, and
It's
this
the only
is like
thing I
the
can...
cyst
So this is the
pushing on.
We didn't know.
So we didn't know.
We didn't know
We
anything
still
at
didn't
this
know.
point.
Wait, okay. Oh, right, because they didn't know it was a
Yeah.
cyst.
Yeah.
And
We don't
it was
know.
just a mass. We
It's
don't
just a
know the hell's
mass.
going
It's just
It's
a
just a
mass.
big black hole.
big
We just
tumor.
know there's something there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
great.
my back pain was really bad, but then I started getting these like, how would you like? What
Like
even?
contractions. It's
if
the only thing. Cause
Every 20 minutes or so, I would
Like-
get a 10-minute just intense pain in my abdomen,
like a twist.
and it was horrid. Like I have felt a lot of pain in my life. That is up there. It was really bad. So that's when the pain was getting way too bad, and I wasn't sleeping. I was like up for like 3 days, pretty much off and on.
But she made it to her. You made it to the CT scan, but she
Made it to the CT
threw up
scan.
the whole way.
Yep.
In pain?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, oh my god.
So then I got to the CT scan. This is still COVID,
This is
right?
very-
This is 2021.
Right.
So the hospital was a nightmare to get into. Right.
Yeah. So you had to go. You had to like sign in, do all this stuff. I'm
They
barely
wouldn't let Mark
coherent.
in.
I can't speak. I'm like this. Like I was at a 90-degree angle the whole time. It's a huge lineup to get in to do a scan. And
Because they put the patients, I'm going to interject
Yep.
here because COVID was awful. They put the patients, the ones that had CT scans booked at like 7 p.m. or whatever, they say come an hour early so you can sign in. They put them in the same line as the visitors coming, because that's when the guest hour started.
Right.
Visitors.
Okay. Just shit was not together.
And they're
It
like,
wasn't.
no.
we have appointments. We got to get
Yeah.
to the CT scan that we've waited days for.
Yeah.
thankfully, a lot of people in the line though were really nice, and they just like let us go ahead.
They're like,
'Cause
you
they were
look
like,
like you should go ahead.
yeah, like it was me and my dad. They saw me like hunched over, and they're like, yeah, go ahead, it's fine. And Dad was not doing well.
No.
He's very stressed out, obviously. They finally signed me in, and they're like, she's not allowed to have a guest come with her
He can go
because I'm
with
an adult. I'm 18 at this point.
Oh.
So they're like, she has to go in by herself. I had
Oh
no
my
idea where I was
God.
going. I was in extreme pain. Like I
Just, like,
couldn't
terrified,
walk.
like-
I couldn't walk really. And so they're like telling me where to go. I'm not paying attention because I'm going through one of my like little mini contraction things.
Yeah, like, just wheel me there,
and I'm
bro.
like, honestly, just take me where I gotta go. I ended up following this random lady who was also going there. Hitched a ride with her. We're walking. They signed me in. The girl at the front desk felt so bad for me. She allowed my dad to come in. She like called the front and was like, this girl needs her dad. Like he can come in. My dad didn't even get there until I was done my CT scan. Like they got me in right away because everyone felt bad for me pretty much.
Because it was supposed to be an emergency, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this actually looks like it is. Maybe we should treat it that way.
As soon as
Okay.
they saw me, they're like, oh, she's not well. So I do my CT scan, whatever, and my dad looks at me. He's like, "We're going to the ER. We're not going home.
Yeah,
we're
he
going to the
admitted
ER
it.
right now." So then we go to the ER. It's another like hour wait or something, which honestly isn't that bad for London ER.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It was
Vic.
crazy. Get into the ER. They're like looking me up, checking me out, whatever. And they saw that I got my CT scan. So they're like, well, we're just going to wait until we see the CT scan. But their theory was something was, at this point, was it?
I don't think they knew until after the CT scan, but from the CT scan, they saw that
Right.
it was attached to your ovary, and
Yeah.
they were concerned when these masses get this big and it's attached to your ovary, it will contort
Twist.
your ovary.
And that's-
it will twist it. That's the pain, the contraction pain that was starting
To happen.
to happen.
so that's what was. They
and
think
then
was
you would
They
happening?
think
compromise,
that's what was happening.
and then you would compromise your ovary.
Right.
Because you're cutting off its circulation.
And
So
she's
it, in theory, will.
19.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I don't understand why you were like how you were in such a state during your scan, and that they didn't be like we should just wheel you down
Because that's a problem with it. What I found through this whole experience is, especially in a big hospital like we were at, no one talks to anyone. So you have to know
Especially
your
with COVID, I guess.
You have to know your history. Wow. You have to know every single detail from just a day before because it's a different doctor.
Yeah.
Like you really need an advocate, especially when you're sick. You need an advocate. You need a parent there. You need a partner there. Like, I don't know how people do it that have no one. Like, you'll get missed. And it's not their fault. It's just, you get lost in the system.
Yeah. There's just too many people. Like,
there's too many sick people.
I got my CT scan. You're in there for 2 minutes, and they're trying to get you out right away to get the next person in.
Else.
Right?
So
like,
if you hadn't gone to the ER right after that, how long would it have taken for you to get those results?
I think they would have likely called her in.
Well, the results would have taken a bit.
Right? But like,
so the ER doctor rushed it. Okay. They're like, they called down to the tech and they're like, okay, we need this result right away. Okay. Like, something's not right.
That's good, I guess.
So that got rushed. They can never say whether or not it was contorting, like twisting. Right. They don't know. Yeah. They kind of just were like, we think this is what is happening. That's why you're in so much pain. Yeah. Also, your back hurts because your kidneys are humongous because they're so swollen. Because everything was getting pushed. Right.
Her bladder, her kidneys was getting squished.
Right.
Yeah, everything was getting squished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I was peeing my pants because it was your little like tubes, pretty much, that hold your urine was getting squished.
Right.
So it just had no control over anything. Like, anyways.
I wish she had a crystal ball.
Like, it's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, so the ER doctors were phenomenal. They got me some morphine. They were like helping me out. Morphine wasn't doing much.
Didn't even touch it. Didn't even touch it.
Yeah, I was still in some intense pain. I was better, but not much. So I was doing a bunch of things. They were jumping through the hoops. Got me into a bed at like 3 a.m, I think, at this point. Mm-hmm. My dad's still with me. He gets me settled in, and they're like, okay, you can't stay overnight. She's an adult. You have to go home. So 3 a.m, Dad's driving home, probably also thinking like worst case scenarios at this point.
It's pretty scary.
And the next morning, they are doing rounds, just like they do in Grey's Anatomy.
Right. Okay.
Same sort of vibe. And so it's just a bunch of residents. They come in. They're kind of explaining like what's going on, what the best plan of action is. And at this point, they're like, she's going to need emergency surgery to remove this cyst. And they're like, we're probably going to have to, they kind of explain like the incision. They're like, you're probably going to have to get cut open and get the cyst out and do all that stuff, get it tested, whatever. And biopsied. And I'm like so out of it. They're like, you need to sign this waiver in case like we can't.
Are you alone right now?
Yes,
still?
I'm still alone.
Because she's an adult.
I'm an adult. And so at this point, they're like, so we need to get you to sign this waiver so you can do surgery and all this stuff. And also, in case you lose your ovary. At this point, no one had told me I could potentially lose my ovary.
Right.
So they're like, in case, you lose your ovary, you need to sign this paper.
Like 12 and I was like, earlier, she didn't even know what this mass was attached to.
Yeah. So I was just like, what do you mean? Like, lose my ovary? Yeah. What is that? Like, what does that mean? So then they were talking through like all the things that would happen, whatever. I'm like, whatever. I'm signing this damn paper and getting the surgery done. Yeah. It's fine. So that afternoon, they get me into surgery, and they ended up switching it last minute. I switched my doctor and switched the surgery. So my doctor originally was just like the on-call gynecologist, right? Mm-hmm. So then, because it's the next day, there's a new on-call person. And it's actually my mom's OB. So the person who was supposed to deliver me ended up being my surgeon.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
It was very full circle.
Well, to be completely honest, when I saw her name as the doctor
on the
board before she went in, I'm like, my OB at St. Joe's, almost 20 years ago for the kids. That was the moment that I'm like, everything's gonna be okay.
See, that's
the first time, because I'm like, she was supposed to deliver me. Jess. I had a pretty difficult pregnancy with her, actually. I saw her quite a bit with Jack. I didn't see her very much.
I'm the problem child, honestly.
Anyway, she was supposed to deliver her, but she was going on holiday. She wanted to induce you early, and it ended up being like a crazy night, and too many people came in. They're like, I got shuffled, And she never was there to do the cat. So she never, I said, you never met her, but no, she met her as almost 20 year.
Okay.
20
so
year
it was like kind of that was like a little bit of a hope, like a little bit of things are okay. Cause there's like,
I'm always a bigger meaning person. I'm like, I need a little sign or I need a little something. I was like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
And she was phenomenal. Like she was so good. She saw me like, you get wheeled down to the surgery areas and she comes up to me and she's like talking to me and she's like so cool, whatever.
She's funny and
calmed me down right away. And she's like, it's going to be fine. And then last minute she was like, I actually have decided, she was looking at my scans and everything all day. She's like, I've decided I'm actually going to do this laparoscopically instead of opening you up, which is like kind of the best case scenario because recovery is so much easier and you don't have a huge scar, all this stuff. So she's like, we're going to try and do it laparoscopic. Worst case scenario, we open you up and do what we were going to originally do. Okay. And she's like, but it's going to be fine. She's like, you're not going to lose your ovary probably. Like, you'll be fine. She's like, honestly, she's like, those waivers were mostly just legal. Yeah. She's like, you'll be okay. Yeah. And I was like, okay, chill. Okay, cool. So I go into my little surgery room. They give me the anesthesia, whatever, do the surgery. I wake up and I don't remember much from waking up in that spot because they don't have you there very long.
Yeah, it's like a recovery room.
It's like a little recovery. It's like a bunch of people from surgery like throughout the whole hospital.
It's like
we're all in one
room.
Huge room. It's an experience. But yeah, so I woke up and they're like, yeah, we did it laparoscopically. It all worked out. It's all gone. You're good. I'm like, chill. Okay, cool. And then I go back to my room. Honestly, for the most part, it wasn't extremely painful from what I can remember. Well, it wasn't great.
You've had worse ones since.
It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. My main thing was like I was really sick, but anesthesia always makes me sick, which I've learned. And yeah, it just felt not great, but it wasn't terrible, the recovery. I think I was out for maybe 4 or 5 days, and I was good.
So did they removed?
So the way they did it, so laparoscopic, it's 3 small holes usually. At least mine was. Okay. So 3 small holes. One is for like a camera, so they can see what they're doing. Yeah. And then one is for a suction, and one is for the scalpel. Oh, so kind of. That's what I understand. I'm not a doctor. Dentist. I don't know really what's happening.
Right. They sucked it out like a vacuum.
Yeah.
Almost.
So
like
I don't.
Fruit Ninja situation in there.
So they cut it up and sucked it out. It's kind of what I've learned from it.
Okay. Because I think the cyst was mostly fluid.
It was mostly fluid.
I think if you get a cyst that's got a lot of chunkiness to it, it makes that a little bit more tricky.
Yeah.
Okay. So they got the whole cyst out.
So we don't know.
Okay.
At this point, we're like, oh, okay, cool. We're done. This is over. So she's like, yeah, I'm going to get sent off to get biopsied, but it'll be fine. She's like, you're good.
Yeah, she was like she was very chill. At all,
yeah.
Because they're not, it's a 97% chance that they're always benign.
Okay. Yeah. It's very unlikely that it's going to be cancer.
It's called a dermoid cyst. Is what it ended up being.
Yeah.
And they're pretty nasty if you actually start Googling.
It's actually disgusting. Don't Google it.
Okay.
Don't Google it.
Okay.
They're dirty little devils.
And anyways, so we move on. I think 2 weeks later, we get the biopsy results. We have an appointment. She's like, yep, it was benign. You're good. No cancer. Pretty much move on with your life. She's like, we'll do.
See you never.
For the only thing she was like, we'll do another ultrasound 6 months from now, just to double check everything, that nothing's growing back, that you're still okay. So I moved on with my life. I didn't really think too much about it, really. June comes around. I have my ultrasound booked, so I go get it done, and never heard back from that. And I was like,
but you're like, okay.
I'm like, no news is good news. Yeah. And
compared to the last
in the Canadian healthcare, that's good news.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. Nothing's happening. And then fast forward to January 2022. 2023.
Correct. 22 was a better year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So 23, and can't sleep one night in my house now in Guelph, and I can't sleep, and suddenly I was like, just kind of hands on my stomach, whatever, and I suddenly feel like a bump that's literally like the size of my fist, and I was like, here we go again, boys, right away. I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you are. Back. She is back. We actually named it Timmy. Timmy the tumor.
The first one was
and I was like, Timmy made his comeback.
The second was...
He's in his comeback era.
Tabitha.
And yeah. So right away, it's 3 a.m. I'm like, okay, well, can't do anything about it right now. I'm going to go to bed. Woke up the next morning. First thing I did was call my doctor. And I was like, Timmy is back. We need to get this sorted. Turns out my doctor's actually away on leave.
Okay.
So
we got the one that called me.
I got the doctor that called Mom, who he's amazing. I love this doctor so much.
Safe to say he probably saved your life.
Definitely.
So he's one of my favorite people.
So I tell him about my past, and I was like, I kind of had this like dermoid cyst before. And I was like, I see something protruding again in my abdomen.
Protruding's not a word that I don't think like any doctor. That's a red flag. Like,
it's not a good word.
And I was like, I need in pretty much right away, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So they got me in like the next week or something, like a few days, because it was the end of the week or something.
It was pretty quick.
And so I'm like, okay, cool. Go to the appointment. I'm talking to this doctor who I've never really talked with before, and I'm kind of giving him my history, and I'm like, yeah, you remember that like huge scan you had and you called those parents? Those were my parents. Yeah. So I'm that person.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
So he's like, he knew right away what I was talking about. He's like, oh yeah. Yep, I remember that. And
but he's still, when you were standing up, he's like, oh, I don't really see anything.
I lifted up my shirt while I was standing. And I was like, yeah, it's like right here, but you can't see it when I'm standing. But when I lay down, you can see it. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, so go lay down. His face. He was like, oh. As soon as he saw it, he's like, gotcha. I see it now.
Trying to keep my cool. Yeah.
He was amazing, though. He was like, he sat me down. He's like, I have daughters the same age. He's like, if I were...
Makes a difference.
Yeah.
If I found out my daughter was like that, I'd want to scan right away. So he got me in that day.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I had a CT scan that day, emergency CT scan. And so I go and do that. And I think between the CT scan and finding out the results were like a few hours.
Oh, wow.
So he called me at like 10 o'clock at night.
At our place in Guelph.
At my home at Guelph. And he's like, we found something on the CT scan again. He's like, I can't say this on the record, but off the record, I'm guessing it's the same thing you had before.
Okay.
He's like, it looks like it's on your ovary. I'm guessing it's just another dermoid cyst sort of thing. It was 16 centimeters diameter.
Still almost as big as...
So almost as big as the old one.
Wow.
And then I was talking to him. I'm like, I just had an ultrasound in June.
How's that? Yeah.
Like,
how did that
did you not, like, how did no one see this?
Yeah.
So then he pulled up my records from June. And he was like, there was something there, but it was too small for them to say anything by it.
Because I think it's a 2 centimeter. Like, if it's under 2 centimeters or something like that, then they consider it not worth a report.
But, like, if you have a history, shouldn't that be like, oh, well...
Looking
normally,
back, perhaps, yeah, there might be some exceptions to that rule.
Okay.
Because hers obviously grow very quick.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yes.
Apparently.
Efficient.
So,
yeah.
anyways, I get an appointment back with my surgeon, and I think I got an appointment the next week. This was all, like, within 2 weeks, I would say. Like, it was so fast compared to the last time.
Right.
Which was surprising. And
sort of.
Throughout this whole time, I'm like, something's wrong. Like, last time I was like, this is scary. This time I was like, no, this is not good.
And I wasn't.
Yeah.
Which scares me because I was like, nope, you're fine. Like,
it'll be like last time.
We've already gone through this. It's fine.
Whereas
and
I
Jess
was like, no.
Yeah.
This is not
Yeah,
good.
well, one of you needed to be like that.
And she's never like that. That's the thing.
I'm
with
very
her.
like
she's
optimistic.
usually the other one.
Yeah.
I'm
You
usually
just had a
like,
feeling. You just knew. Yeah.
I was like, this is...
She's like, I know my body.
I kept saying, I was like, prepare yourselves. Like, prepare yourselves. Like, this is not good.
She told everybody at school. She's like, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is not going to be good. And so we meet with my doctor. She's like, okay, we can either get you into surgery like this weekend when I'm on call, and we'll just kind of like sneak you in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you can do that?
Okay.
Apparently.
Meredith, right?
She's like, yeah, literally. She's like, we can sneak you in this weekend, or it's March. And I was like, well, March is like midterms. At this point, I'm still thinking like a student.
Yeah.
I'm like, gotta look at my exam schedule.
Yeah.
And I was like, immediately mom and dad were like, please do this, like the sooner one. Because they're like, they just wanted it out, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not ideal, but okay, I'll do this weekend. So I called them back. I decided on the weekend. I was like, I'll book it in. They got me in right away. Like, I think that Friday they called me and they're like, come in, we have a bed for you. I had like a private suite. It was so nice. It was like kind of bougie.
Tabitha.
I was like,
so
thank
bougie.
you.
Wow.
And so they got me in. I think I got in on the Friday, late at night. It was a snowstorm.
Snowstorm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a snowstorm. I got in. And then
I had to stay in London because I couldn't get home.
I was fasting at this point because I was like, I don't know when surgery is going to be, because they called me that morning. They were like, we think we'll have a bed for you tonight. So I was fasting all day. And my nurse comes in. She's like, yeah, I don't think you're getting in tonight. So you could eat dinner and then stop and then fast again.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Brutal.
McDonald's, Uber Eats that
McDonald's
night.
in the hospital
In the
foyer.
hospital foyer.
Yeah.
I was crushing a
is great.
double quarter pounder.
Nice.
Yep.
And Mom got a hotel room that night, I think, because it was a snowstorm.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed at the hotel or at the hospital. And I think the next afternoon, I had surgery again.
Okay.
I went into the surgery relatively good. I had no symptoms, maybe a tiny bit of back pain starting up, but nothing.
Sucks because she didn't
nothing
have any
serious.
pain.
I come out of this surgery,
Oh.
excruciating pain. Like, I've never felt something like that in my life. And it was horrible.
She couldn't move.
So this time they couldn't do laparoscopic. They had to cut me open.
Okay, so that probably didn't help.
So that's why it was so
Yeah,
painful,
yeah.
was the incision.
Okay, yeah.
So I thought. And so I woke up, I was numbed. Like, they numbed the crap out of everything. So I sat right up in the recovery
like,
room. Nurses came running to me to hold me down. And I'm like, what? And they're like, no, this is going to be extremely painful when the numbing like stops numbing pretty much.
Oh, God.
So they all held me down. They're like, calm down. Like, you don't want to sit up right now. Trust me. Within like 20 minutes, that numbing wore off.
Oh, no.
The best way I can think of it, to describe it, is, you know when like something falls asleep, like your leg falls asleep or something.
Yeah.
And it's like that weird pins and needly.
Yeah.
And every time you like move, but it doesn't feel like you're moving,
Yeah.
you feel it like shoot to your leg.
Yes.
It's like that,
No.
but instead of pins and needles, it's pain. So I felt like I wasn't
Nice.
moving, but it was like a nerve twitch and everything hurts. Like, it was horrible.
Oh, my God.
And
That
yeah,
wasn't a good-
it was the worst experience of my life. I was in recovery for significantly longer this time, just because it was so overrun. Like, they were so busy in there, and I was in a lot of pain. So they just kept giving me more and more painkillers.
Yeah.
And nothing touched it. Finally, they were like, okay, we're going to wheel you down to your room. My nurse was like, they're going to try and get you to walk to your bed. Do not let them.
Savages.
She's like, do not let them make you walk.
They were gonna try.
She's like, this is going to be too painful. Because she saw me.
Shouldn't that be like on
she
your
saw
floor?
me,
Like, do not,
right?
like, what?
Yeah.
Like on her wall, it says falling hazard. Like
yeah.
she was a falling hazard.
Yeah.
Let's make you walk right
The
out
whole
of
time,
station.
even through chemo, I had that sign.
Here you
Anyways,
are. You're tall. It's girly.
I mean, I am clumsy, so I guess.
Tracks.
Maybe it's everybody.
So yeah, they wheel me down to my room, my nice private suite. And because the rooms are so small, it's ideal if the patient walks to the bed, because it's so annoying to get the like gurney into the room to like slide the patient over.
Yeah.
So they stop and they're like, do you think you can walk? And I was immediately like, no, do not make me walk. It's not happening.
I
So
think I
they're
was
like,
still there too, right?
you were in the room when it
Yeah.
came.
Yeah.
Sorry for that trauma for you. But they wheel me in, and I thought they were like gonna put board under me, like you see in
That's
the
what
movies.
Well, they did that with your other one. No,
No, they
you
didn't.
Did walk,
They've
you
never
did
done
walk
that.
After
So I thought they were like gonna put board under, whatever. They're like, no, you need to scooch your way from one bed to the other.
What?
So it's like doing sit-ups after you just had like
It was
abdominal carnage
horrible.
happening.
Sloan Memorial would never. Grace Sloan
Like-
Memorial?
No, they
Right?
would never.
They went. It was horrible, and all the nurses were like
Meredith.
significantly smaller than me. Like, I'm a very tall person.
Okay, so grab
So,
another nurse.
I was
are
like-
you, what? Oh, I can't.
It was so horrible. Mom
Okay.
saw my face through it.
And I'm like, no,
It was.
you gotta like, yeah, it was. I'm like, this is not the same surgery as the last one. She was not feeling great. But
I
it was
wasn't
more
great, but
just
I
the
could walk. Like,
yeah.
I was okay.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm like, this is not the same.
oh, God, different beast.
Yeah. So, anyways, horrible night. Mom had to go home because it was you're only allowed visitors for
Yeah,
set hours.
Yeah.
honestly, it was probably for the best because I was a horrible human being through that. I remember leaving and I was like, I'm sorry to all my nurses. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Don't take any of that personally.
Like, that was a terrible experience.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, so they gave me a PSW actually that night, pretty much to look after me and help me, like, because you had to go to the bathroom on your own. You have to do everything on your own for the most part, and I couldn't. So that night I had to go to the bathroom, all that stuff, and I had to sit up and walk at that point. It's been a few hours, so it's like, it's still horrible, but yeah. I could move finally, kind of. And I remember the PSW looked at me and I had my no falling or whatever sign. She looked at me and she's like, do you really think you can do this? And I was like, no, I don't think I can, but I have to. I was like, I'm about to pee my pants. Like, I have to go to the bathroom. So she gets me up and she's like, I'm going to hold on to you. I was like, no, you're not touching me because any like sudden movements would hurt. I was like, I can't have anyone touch me. Like, no. So she's like, okay. So she braced her hands behind my back
just
in case I fell.
Oh my God.
As I went to the bathroom.
Nurses are just
She was an angel. There are literally angels. Oh. So she walked me to the bathroom and I couldn't go. Fun thing about me, I can't, all my stuff shuts down, all my organs, whatever, pretty much shut down through anesthesia. Oh, so I can't pee. Sleepy. I can't pee for about 12 hours.
Wow.
Maybe not quite. Maybe like 6 hours after surgery.
If your body knows you want it to.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
it's like,
I couldn't go.
No, queen.
I can't sit up on the toilet pretty much because I'm in so much pain. So they had to put in a catheter again.
We didn't talk about the catheter story on the first surgery. That was horrendous.
So it happened in the first surgery too, where I couldn't go to the bathroom, and they had to put in a catheter.
Yeah.
Let's just say when you have surgery, you have a catheter in. Mm-hmm. Putting in a catheter normally sucks. Putting in a catheter when they just took one out, horrible, so horrible.
Oh.
Anyways.
Oh no.
They did it for me. They were amazing. They put the catheter in. And so for the second surgery, my nurse really didn't want to do a catheter. She was like, this is really not, she's like, this isn't.
Don't like them.
They don't like them. It's not nice to put in. It's not good for the patient. It's just another source of infection. Right. So it's really not ideal. But she was like, do you really have to go? And I was like, yes. Please put me on my misery. And I also knew I wouldn't be able to go for a few hours still. So a fun thing that you have to do sometimes, if the nurse doesn't want to give you the catheter, they scan your bladder to see how full it is. So if it's over a set amount, then they'll give you the catheter. If not, they will wait until it gets to that fullness.
No matter how full you feel.
No matter how full you feel.
That's so uncomfortable.
That's not even the worst part.
No.
So my incision was right where the scanner had to go.
No.
And they put a lot of pressure on those scanners. So it's right where my incision is. I'm in pain from that. She's pushing on this bladder scanner to see.
You thought the rocking chair was scary.
And it was so close to being full enough. So close. She looks at me and she's like, it's technically not full enough. I was like, I am begging you, please just round up. It's okay. So she did it for me.
Please round up.
Yeah. I think she waited another 20 minutes or something, scanned it again, and she's like, okay, now we're good. We can do this. So she gave me my catheter. Thank you. Can't believe I would ever beg for a catheter, but I did. And at that point, after that, I slept, thank God. And then I was starting to feel a bit better. Not good at all, but a bit better. I could go to the bathroom finally, kind of, and then you came to visit me the next morning. Yep. Do you have anything to say about visiting me?
Oh my God, there's so many hospital stays that I get them.
I know, it's so hard.
The only way I can distinguish is what room we're in. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Wow. It was crappy weather. I remember that. But I think your dad came with me, didn't he, on that one? And you slept, I think. And you needed to do some things in the bathroom before they'd release you. Yeah. But your body shuts down on you, so
had to wait.
It wasn't happening. So every day you go thinking you can take her home, and then they're like, no, she didn't.
And so at this point, they had sent Tabitha off for a biopsy?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's
we didn't really talk about that
well,
part.
we're not even at that part yet.
Well, you know,
But
you
yeah.
are. But then right after she finished surgery, her surgeon came up to the room when I was there.
Okay.
So I was waiting in her room for her. And she came in, which is so different from the COVID surgery, because during the COVID surgery, I got a phone call just saying, everything's good, no problem, laparoscopic, she's a superstar.
Yeah.
It was such an awesome, like, she just loved the surgery, I think, by the sounds of it.
Okay.
And I was like, what about the biopsy? Oh, it's fine, no problem, send away, no worries, it'll be fine. This time she came in, and it was a completely different vibe. And that's the first time I'm like,
Seth.
what's going on? She sat down. She goes, I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't have even let my worst enemy see what was inside. She said that was ugly. It was so ugly. So, so they got the one out that they saw in the ultrasound, but her other ovary also was covered in them.
But they didn't know that until they went in there. Mm-hmm. And would they have seen that if they went laparoscopically?
No.
So now you want...
In
so
theory,
of course...
I'm not a doctor. But.
So of course, you know,
Disclaimer, she's not a doctor.
For weeks after, I'm like, was it missed? Was it... You know, you go through
all
the things,
yeah.
right? It's like, should we just have opened her up? And, you know, you just... you don't know. You only know what you know at the time. But so she just looked at me and she goes, it was an absolute mess. And I'm like, how much pain is she going to be in? So I knew she was going to be in pain. She's like, oh, she's going to know I was there. You know how I'm like,
Doctors.
okay, Dad. Like, that's totally something my dad would say. She's going to know I was there.
We
I'm
got
like,
here
right
in time.
Okay. And then she's like, but I said, is everything okay in there? And she's like, you're going to have to sit her down, you know, maybe wait a few years. Like maybe, you know, by the time she's 25, you might want to think about fertility options.
25?
And I'm like, she's 20. You don't want me to talk to her? Like, she was very, like, you know, she's not thinking about it now. Like, she doesn't want them now. But, you know, in the future, like...
Don't wait.
So, basically, she was just like, her ovaries they were pretty ugly. These cysts on her ovaries. So all I could think about was fertility.
Yeah.
I thought that was... cancer wasn't even...
There was a new
beast
in town.
It was fertility.
Yeah.
Fertility of my 20-year-old daughter that didn't know any of this yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next morning, they're doing rounds again, and my doctor comes in this time, which they didn't do before. It was just the residents before. And I look at her face, and I was like, she saw something. Something's not right. So it just like, I already had a bad feeling. And then I was like, this is not good. Not good at all. And she's like, pretty much said the same thing to me as she did to Mom, except the fertility. She never talked to me about the fertility yet.
No. She was going to let me do that.
Apparently. And so she was like, that was really bad. Pretty much. She was
Straight
like,
up?
she literally walked in. She's like,
yeah, she was
like, are you in pain? I was like, yeah. And she's like,
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. I'm like, okay. Anyways, she's like, yeah, you're going to be in a lot of pain. It's going to be a rough recovery. And it was a very rough recovery. And, yeah, she just was like, I had a lot of cleanup to do. She's like, you're clean now, but it was horrible in there. She's like, there was the 16 centimeter one that they saw on the CT scan. She's like, on your other ovary, there was a 5 centimeter one and like another.
Wasn't there a 9?
A 9 centimeter one. Like, there was
she
so
full of
them.
No.
She was full of them.
That's fucking scary.
It's
that like
scary.
you
And
don't see that on the...
And
Yes.
I'd like to just say this on the podcast for any, because there's probably young women that listen, but it is very common. And we don't know unless there's pain. Like,
Yeah.
It's very common. Dermoid cysts are very, very common. Like, we ended up talking to people when she was going through this before we knew of any of the cancer stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, so-and-so had that, and so-and-so had that, and so-and-so had that. And you're like, okay.
I didn't even know it
talks,
existed.
No one talks about this.
No, and you didn't know you had one until it was fucking 20 centimeters
Yep.
big. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
To even look for something like that. So, yeah.
So
if this podcast helps that, I'm
be
very
aware,
happy.
of
that
your
if
body.
you're feeling
Like,
symptoms,
check
try
it
not to
out.
write it off and
Check it
actually,
out.
advocate for that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Especially
fair.
with like women's reproductive, because I feel like it just gets swept under the rug much.
It's just a bad period.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's just cramps. Like,
yeah.
it might not be.
No, it's a football
Like-
in there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, I had great doctors, though. They all really were really good to me. But yeah, so she was like, it was rough, but you're clean now. And everything got sent off. And I just had a feeling. I was like, something's not right. But again, I just kind of moved on because you can't rush anything in the healthcare system. And so
I think it was 5 weeks.
It was 5 weeks for the biopsy. So this one took longer than
which is
the previous
also
time.
not a great sign because you're like.
But there was more material, right? There was more than just one cyst. There was a few cysts.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, just trying to explain everything away all the time. It feels like.
Yeah.
But so we get the post-op appointment, and in that appointment is when she sits me down and she's like, looks at Mom. She's like, "Did you talk to her about anything yet?" And Mom's like,
I thought I had till she was 25.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
"What?" And she's like, "So you need to start thinking about potentially fertility options in the future." And I'm like,
I could have prepared her a little better for this if we.
okay.
We're like, okay, let's just rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, now I look like the mother of the year.
Okay. Honestly, though, that was fine. I was like, that's not ideal to have to shoot myself up with needles all the time for IVF. But if I have to do that, I have to do that. It's fine. And so we left that appointment. And again, I looked at Mom and I was like, something's not right. Like, these results are not going to be good. And I kept saying that. Like, I went home. I sat Mom and Dad down and I was like, prepare yourselves.
And
like,
were
this
you guys
is not
just
going to
trying
be good.
Like, no, just wait. Like, trying to be like, calm.
I was totally fine. I was so in the fertility, like, headspace.
a little bit distracted. Maybe it was a good thing. A little bit.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And so upset. Like, I was so upset for her on that end just because of, like she's 20. Like,
It's
I
just
couldn't
not
get
something
over
you
it.
would even
like, no.
ever.
It's just...
Yeah.
It's so unfair.
Yeah.
And I've had friends in my life that have struggled with infertility, and it's like they were in my life for a reason. Like,
Yeah.
they're gonna get me through this eventually, like when we have this. And it was just like, how are we dealing with it? So I never even, it was talking to my mom, and I just briefly just said, "Oh, we're just waiting on the biopsy, but I'm sure it's fine." And she's like, "Are we sure it's fine?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's 3% chance. They say it's 3% chance it's ever malignant, blah, 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 blah." But I got off the phone with her and I was like, sorry, I'm not in this mic. I got off the phone with her and I'm like, that was the first time I was like, do I have to worry about cancer? I went directly to Mark. He was sitting in front of his computer and I'm like, have you thought at all about this potentially being malignant? He's like, oh, I've been Googling the shit out of that. I'm like, what? He goes, Sandi, you got to prepare yourself. Like, this could very well be, like, he was team Jess.
Yeah.
And I'm in la la land for just worrying about other stuff, as you do. And so then I lost it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, I've already grieved this.
Yeah, like,
she's
we weren't
already cancer free.
Yeah.
We already went down this rabbit hole and didn't do well the first time. So I'm not going to do good the second time. And I kind of shook myself out of it again.
Yep.
And I was like, no, I don't think it is. I just don't think it is. And then it was a couple days later.
Yeah, so then
We found out.
I had an appointment booked for March 10th or 11th? 10th? And that's when my results would come in and we would know. And I remember the night before that, I was hanging out with all my friends, and that's
you
when
all
I
got
told them
together.
all. I was like, guys, I have cancer.
Even
I was like, I'm not diagnosed yet, but I have cancer, so prepare yourselves. And they all were like,
you should be a doctor.
they were like,
That's impressive.
They were like, you'll be fine. Like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, even one of my good friends, their mom is a gynecologist, and so she's seen cases like this before. We've talked about it
And she had
before, and
breast
she was
cancer.
also like,
Oh wow.
she was also like, it's very rare. She's like, like so rare, not something you should really need to worry about too much. But I was convinced. So all my friends were like, you'll be fine, Jess. Like, it's okay. And I was like, no, guys, like, for real, prepare yourselves, because I definitely have cancer.
And poor friends, because it's like you don't
What
want
do
to
you say to
invalidate
that?
someone, but you're
No.
like, fuck, stop it.
Yeah, like-
no, you don't.
I'm a horrible friend, honestly. I was just like,
Like, what does she do when she comes
Make
back?
it,
Told you
okay,
so.
Well, yeah.
happy birthday, but I
the
actually
worst told you so ever.
Yeah, I have cancer. Anyways, went to this appointment. This
worst
whole day, I was just like, I have cancer. And then Mom and I are sitting in the appointment room, and my doctor walks in. I see her face. Immediately, I looked at Mom. I'm like, I have cancer.
Oh my God.
I have cancer.
Yeah,
You just knew.
I don't even remember what she said.
Yeah.
She sits down. She said, I have good news and I have bad news.
What the fuck could possibly be the good news?
I don't remember.
Are you ready for the good news?
What was the
No.
good news?
We did a lot of testing.
I would argue that that's actually
We
bad
were thorough.
news.
We were thorough.
I was like, so the bad news is, and she's like, you have cancer.
I mean, if you hear that as the good news, you know you're fucked because
she said,
like,
she said,
I have cancer.
She said, had a term, and I'm like, what does that mean? I said, does that mean cancer? You said, does that mean cancer?
oh, so they tried to make it in a way that it's not.
Yeah,
It's like,
so she
you
said-
have cancer.
So she said you have, she named the cancer. So it's like stage 1C or stage something like that. Surgical spill C.
Yeah, it's like
She sits down. She's like, bad news is it's stage 1C. And I look at her. I'm like,
Does C mean
like
cancer?
what does that mean?
so I looked at her. I'm like, do I have cancer? And she's like, yes. I was like, fantastic.
I told you so.
I knew this, guys. I've been calling it. Called it. Yeah. So then she's like, I don't know anything about this cancer. She's like, it's very rare. She's like, I've done some research since I found out because I got the results earlier that week. She's like, I've been doing some research, but she's like, I'm not qualified enough to talk to you really about
I feel like
this.
that's not what you want to hear right after receiving.
No, but she was very
although
honest.
yeah,
which
that's
was
true,
nice.
True.
She's very transparent for a doctor. Like she's
Yes,
very
That's
like
true. And the honesty
yep.
helps a lot.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she goes, you can hate me. I can be that person. I can be that face. I can be
Yeah.
that face to get you through this. You can hate me.
No, she was
I'm
so
like,
good.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, hate you?
Yeah. So anyways, so she's like, I got you set up with a specialist who is an oncologist, but she's also like, she's a
Gynecological?
Thank you.
oncologist.
Gynecological oncologist.
Yes.
Wow.
She came
So
highly,
very-
like she's
amazing.
She's a boss babe.
She's amazing. She's very, very talented. Has
Very
so many
accoladed.
yeah, exactly. That's the word.
Well, I feel like you could really be
Yeah.
talented in wizardry to
Just
be
to
able
be
to
a
hone
surgeon.
into that niche
And
as
her-
well.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And her bedside manner was just like
Oh yeah. Anyways, so
instant tears.
so
lovely.
That's amazing.
my gynecologist at this point is like, so I got you referred to this person. She'll have way more information for you than what I can give you because
Fair.
I don't know enough.
Fair
pretty
enough,
much.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool, good. So we get this appointment like the next week. Like this is all so fast.
Everything was so fast.
Which is like scary in the
Yeah.
Canadian health system. 'cause
Yeah, you're
it's
like,
usually
it's-
not.
Everything's
Someone
slow.
put a rush on this. Then
Yeah.
yeah.
So I meet my new oncologist, and she was phenomenal. Like so amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like so good. And right away she's like, so chemo is not an option. You have to do chemo.
oh, okay.
And I was
wait,
like-
what?
Like
Oh.
it's,
Okay.
it's not optional.
It's not optional.
Right.
No, it
like
is an
no
option.
matter what,
I'm like, oh my god.
like no matter what, she's like, you have to do chemo. And I was
Okay.
like, okay, great. We kind of all were expecting that a little bit. She said the only thing that is an option for you is surgical removal of your one ovary and fallopian tube. Because the only way to properly stage cancer is if you are able to do a biopsy of the organ it originates on. Is kind of how she made it to understand
Okay.
for me. Like,
okay. And
it's
you
kinda
have
what
to
I gathered.
remove it to do the biopsy.
to do the biopsy.
She didn't. Well,
But they kind of had a feeling what the stage was.
Right.
But because it's stage 1C, I believe is what it was, it means that it was a surgical spill.
Okay.
So when they were taking out the tumor and the cyst,
Yeah.
some of the fluid spilled into my abdomen.
it ruptured.
Okay.
So-
and
and
it
it's-
came from there. From
It
that.
came from the cyst.
Oh.
So technically within the cyst,
Timmy.
there was, within Timmy
Tabitha.
or Tabitha, we don't know which one it
Okay.
was.
Fair. Right.
I
right.
think it was,
We think Timmy was gone.
we
but
think Timmy was gone.
Okay.
But
Oh,
we don't really know.
Tabitha's a
Timmy's
bitch.
ugly sibling.
Yes.
Tabitha probably
She
was
is-
the
sounds
problem
like
child.
Tabitha.
So pretty much the best way I can describe it from what I understand is the cyst had fluid in it and the cyst also had the cancer cells in it.
Okay.
So when they remove the cyst, it always almost ruptures. Like
Wait, sorry, and this was biopsied, but so cancer cells can still be cancer cells whether they're malignant or benign, right? Or they
I don't know that. I don't know that.
So they're
like at the time though, didn't that come back as benign?
The first one came. So this is a whole nother cyst that has never been worked on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So many in there.
I know.
That's the problem. So
it's very confusing.
If you have a mature dermoid cyst, you're golden. That's what you want.
That's what you want.
If you're gonna have a cyst, have a nice big old mature. It
for
knows
the
what it wants.
stars.
If it's got a little hair and a little fingernail, great.
Perfect.
If it's an immature little brat, they don't know what they want to be yet. Unfortunately, that little brat was
decided it
had some germ cells.
That's the malignant
aspect
of it.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is a cyst that has never had surgery on. So could have been there the whole time. We don't know. Could also be brand new because they are fast growing. So when they take it out surgically, there's always like a little bit of a spillage because of the fluid in it.
Right.
But when something is cancerous, they can't say this whole thing was cancerous. They can't say this little part of the cyst was cancerous.
Right.
So they just never know that what spilt was cancer or not.
Right.
So they're like, in theory, you could just have this fluid that has one cancer cell in there, and it might just blow up and start making more cancer cells. So
wonderful. Okay.
So the chemo was to ensure
if there are cancer cells, it's getting destroyed immediately.
Right. Okay. Right.
So that's why chemo wasn't an option.
You didn't have a known malignant growing cell. It was just the chance that had. Yeah.
Well, with this germ cell cancer, of these cysts, they do. I think Dad said they were when he was looking at when he Googled it. There's slides, and so it's they do 10 I'm not a doctor. They do 10 slides of these cells, and if it's sort of graded, so if it's 3 or below, then it's not really considered like worth treating or going after, I think. But hers were quite high. Okay. So she was in that mid.
You're an overachiever.
It was on a few slides.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on too many slides.
Yeah.
Like these germ cell cancer cells.
So like because of that, you have to do chemo because in theory that means there's more cancer cells in the cyst than like a smaller one that had less slides. Right?
Okay.
In theory?
Yeah, that makes sense, I think.
It's very confusing.
That's a lot.
So confusing.
And
anyways.
I think I've blocked most of it out.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we did.
Disassociated the entire year away.
Yeah.
So fun.
So then how quickly did chemo start?
So,
well,
there's always a little story.
There's so many stories.
That.
Wow.
So I had an option to do surgery to remove my ovary.
Oh, yeah.
So that was
that would have been
it's another one of those like insurance policies. It's like if we remove the ovary that had the cancer, then you're not going to have like the potential for cancer might be less.
They were hoping to take away the source.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we're kind of trying to get rid of the mama bear.
And it was a way to stage the cancer as well.
And it's a way to stage
to know how to treat it really effectively.
Yeah. But she said if we're doing this surgery, she was like, then I would also like to do some experimental and just make sure if there was a spillage and that was cancer, there's nothing weird growing in your abdomen anywhere. So she was like, I can go around. Exploratory.
Yeah.
She's like, I can go around and make sure there's nothing else that looks suspicious. If there is, I can take a sample of it to get biopsied.
Right.
So
like laparoscopically exploratory? Oh, okay.
So I ended up deciding to do the surgery. I was like, yeah, I approve that, whatever. The way the surgery worked was it is mostly laparoscopic. Mm-hmm. To remove the ovary, they decided to reopen that original incision. Like
so back to her little C-section.
The really bad incision. But she's like,
as soon as she said that, start a fresh one, please.
As soon as she said that, I was like, no. I was like, I can't do that recovery again. And she was like, it should be better because it's already been opened. Mm-hmm. She's like, a lot of the pain was probably because they were so aggressive in there trying to clean it up.
Fair. Yeah.
And she said, I also won't open the whole thing. But she was like, she put her hand on my hand. She's like, but I will be so gentle. Like, I promise I'll be as gentle as possible. And I was like, okay, fine. Fine, you can do
Open
it.
me up.
And then I was like, so you want to take out her ovary and you want to do chemo. When is she supposed to do fertility treatments? And she goes, you want to do fertility treatments?
Oh my God,
I'm
guys,
like,
can we get on the same page?
This is what I mean.
Jesus.
They don't know. They don't. And they're pretty good at talking, like those doctors. But I'm like, yeah, we were told that she should probably, like, especially with everything she's gone through, that she should probably, try to get some eggs if she's losing, like, especially if she's losing an ovary.
Yeah.
And they were like, she's like, oh, okay. Well, I want to do chemo ASAP. Like, I want to do chemo yesterday. And I'm like, well, what?
Well, I want kids.
Can you get into, like, how do we get into a fertility clinic? Like, I know from friends that takes forever.
Yeah.
Like, and she's like, we'll get it fast tracked. I'm like, fast tracked. So the next week, I think we started fertility treatments.
That afternoon, I got a call from the fertility clinic giving me an appointment. And I was like, oh my God, I just found out I had cancer and now I'm doing fertility.
And you're how old at this point?
20.
I'm 20 and I'm about to do final exams yet again. It just keeps happening.
Drop out of school, man.
Just
get these exams out of the way. You don't need these right now. Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah. Anyways, so that's when she was like, okay, I guess if you want to do fertility, you should do that now. She was great, but like, again, it's just no communication hardly. And you have truly
to advocate for yourself.
And honestly, she doesn't. That's the thing that's the difference between your original surgeon, and her. She wants to save her life. Right. The second one. The oncologist wants to kill the cancer.
Right.
She's not looking at future Jess and having babies. She just wants Jess.
Yeah. Which is valid.
Her original surgeon said, I want to be here when you deliver your baby.
Yeah.
So I want to do everything. Yeah. And I was just like, oh.
Which is nice to have that.
So it's beautiful. Yes. Yeah. She's had a lot of people in her corner from like day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm starting fertility I have my first fertility treatment appointment the next week. So I go in, I'm a 20-year-old in a room of like
couples.
It's me and my mom just sitting there. And I'm like, yeah, I have to go to class after this appointment.
Was this the one in London?
Yes. So this is the one in London. He sits us down. He doesn't realize I have cancer.
Oh my God, guys.
He's like,
should be like a color-coded file.
Yeah. Yes. So he sits me down. He's like, okay, so you're wanting to do some fertility treatments. Why? I was like,
I got this little thing going on.
Let me tell you.
Like, do I have to repeat it?
And so you have to go through the whole story over and over and over again. And so he was amazing, though. He was good. He was like, okay, well,
we don't do that here.
Well, so he was like, we're actually in the middle of moving from the hospital to our own clinic. So we are not going to be able to do your fertility treatments for a while now. Because he didn't realize that this was like, I need chemo yesterday. So he didn't realize I was so rushed because he didn't realize I had cancer. Yeah, I know. So he's like,
of all things, I just feel like cancer gets you like you're falling hazard.
Like, I need a pass.
Honestly.
Right?
A sticker.
Anyways, so he's like, okay, I'm going to send you off to Toronto because they can do this really fast. They can get you in. They can do what you got to do. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we get sent off to Toronto for this. Later that week, we have a phone call or a Zoom call with the Toronto clinic. And they're like, why do you need this?
So you have to go through the whole thing.
Go through the whole story. I have cancer, blah, blah, blah.
Just make like a PowerPoint with like, let me just airdrop this.
But in this case, cancer sort of helped our
It did.
situation.
So we're like trying to figure out like fertility treatment is expensive, like insanely expensive. And I'm like over here like, oh my God, my parents are going to have to pay for fertility treatment. I can't even afford toilet paper. I'm like, I'm a student.
I can only afford toilet paper.
I'm like, what? And so mom and dad are obviously like, just don't worry about it, bro. Like, you didn't ask for cancer. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But so we get onto this call. This nurse was so amazing. She actually read the file.
Wow,
so
shocking.
She we were like, yeah, I have cancer. She's like, oh, okay, let me just like read up quick. And she read up and she's like, okay, we actually have like a grant we can apply for you to get this covered.
Wow.
And I was like, great. Mom's like, do we have to do this though? Because if we have to do this and it's going to just delay
I don't
everything,
care,
it's
I'll
not
just pay.
worth
We'll
it.
just pay.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Because we don't fill out paperwork very well.
No. And she's like, oh no, I'll do it today. I'll get it sent off right away. And we're like,
Okay.
okay, great. Sounds good. So I got accepted for the grant. It's called Compassionate Care.
Okay.
So if you have chemo and you have to do fertility treatments, at least in Ontario,
Okay.
they can
You
give
get
you a
one-
grant.
one
So you get one round, which means so you get the fertility drugs covered for the most part, except for like at the end or something. The egg extraction is covered, and every egg that you try to get implanted would also be covered in the future.
Wow. Okay.
So
Wow,
they
that's
cover a
amazing.
lot. They cover a
Yeah.
lot.
That sounds expensive. All of those things.
Extremely
Yeah.
expensive.
Wow.
And so yeah, we got that all covered, and they were phenomenal. Next week, I go to Toronto, and we're getting started on how to give myself injections every day and
20 years
mixing
old.
medications and all this stuff. We're like, okay, whatever. We plan everything out. So I planned everything out. Fertility treatments, I was like, okay, worst case scenario, it'll take 2 weeks tops to do
Okay.
between starting the injections and the extraction. Right after fertility treatments, I had my final exams. And we also had to communicate with my oncologist because she wanted to do the surgery right after the extraction.
Right.
She said, she's like, give yourself 2 weeks to recover from the extraction and we'll get you in to do surgery.
Oh
So,
my God.
fertility treatments, final exams. The next
Did you
pass
2
these
days,
exams?
2 days later, I had my surgery
Oh my God.
from exams. So I got everything planned out, and we start fertility treatments, and mom is learning how to mix drugs for her 20-year-old daughter. I'm learning where to inject myself with drugs every night, and that was a whole nother...
I remember
You hit
watching
the hormone.
some
You
of
hit the
this.
hormonal wall like day 4, day 5.
I'm
And you
not
cut your hair, and you got a puppy. Like you did a
Oh,
lot.
right,
You
Piper.
did a lot in 3 days.
Okay.
Like maybe not the greatest thing to do on
Maybe don't
fertility-
do that, but,
fertility treatment. All the things that
yeah.
make you really
Getting a
hormonal.
dog.
Yeah, I'm not an emotional person.
But
and
you were that
I
week.
cried for 24
like,
hours
I
straight.
hate my hair. and I
Everything was
hate this.
everything was making me cry.
Well, you hadn't cried to that point.
No, I
all.
I cried when I found out I had cancer.
Yeah,
and then
we
after
cried in the
that,
parking
I was
lot.
But what? Okay, so but pause. When you decided you had cancer, or when you actually found out? Because
When I
you had
actually found out.
Okay,
We
I
had a
never-
moment.
like.
We had a
Yeah.
parking lot sobby.
yeah.
Okay.
Before that, I was like, I know I have cancer, but I didn't mourn anything yet.
Okay.
That appointment, I mourned.
You had
I was like, okay.
because you had a feeling, and then when your suspicions were confirmed, like
Yeah,
how,
it's
like literally through all of this though, to this point, like what's happening in your brain? Like how are you? Like,
I don't
is it-
remember.
Right. Okay.
I don't
So
remember.
was maybe it like were you compartmentalizing? Were you dissociating maybe from? Like how? Like
Oh,
you just seemed,
definitely.
and even just watching back, like you
think-
just seemed so. You're like
Speaking,
it is what it is.
speaking for you, I think
Yeah.
everything was so fast.
That
We
you couldn't even
did
be like, I
not
don't even know what's
know.
going on right now.
Like
because-
literally every day there was something. I'm like, how
Right.
are we even functioning? Like there was, even talking about it now, I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, that
You didn't even
happened.
have enough time to stop and
You
like
really,
process.
you really didn't. I think we made the best of, like, we went to the hotel the night before always when we went to Toronto. We made a thing because
We
I
made a
hate
trip out of
driving.
it.
Yeah.
So it was like, we had a lot of mother-daughter time.
But from when I found out I had cancer to actually starting chemo, it was like maybe a month and a half, 2 months.
That was a longer wait, yeah,
Like,
surprisingly.
so I
But
did.
that was with the fertility
I
treatment
found out
in
I
the
had
middle?
cancer. I did fertility
Yeah.
treatment. I had a surgery,
Jesus fuck.
and I started chemo within like 2 months.
And
So
was
I
it-
didn't breathe.
surgery before that.
Like
surgery,
and surgery before that.
surgery, cancer diagnosis, fertility treatment, surgery number 3, really, but 2 that within that year, and then chemo a month later.
Like it was so fast.
That's
which honestly was
And
kind
your
of a
body-
blessing.
I just
for sure.
Like, and I'm doing school. I'm writing exams. Like I was so
She hadn't even
busy.
told, she hadn't even told work that she couldn't work that summer
Yeah,
because
like-
that's how fast. And
it was so
she,
rough.
and she
I have
works
cancer. I actually can't come in.
and she works with a good family friend of ours, and we hadn't told anybody
Right.
yet. So it's just like, how do I, like, we've told some family, like family members, but
right,
it's
but
like,
it wasn't out.
it's like we knew she was going to take it very, very hard because she's like an older sister to Jess. So we were just like, this is very hard.
I feel like everyone has some experience with cancer to some degree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, do you have any family cancer, like close or not super close?
Not super close.
That's the thing. Now that you look back, you look at friends that have really suffered with family members.
Right.
And I like kick myself for not you just don't understand. You don't understand what someone else is going through until you've gone through it. And I hate myself a little bit for that, for not being as present, but you just don't. And especially if you're young, you're just so self-absorbed.
No idea what's going on.
Right. And, reflecting now, it's like, I wish I don't wish I knew, but I wish I was more, compassionate and
but you can't
you can't you can't change it. Where was I going with that?
Just knowing, just having
so Mark's got a couple. Yeah, Mark's had some cousins actually on his dad's side. One had pancreatic cancer and died very young, like late 30s, maybe.
Yeah,
I was really sad. And his other cousin, she came down with cancer. And then, the one that had pancreatic cancer, his sister was battling cancer this past, the same year, the year before Jess. And we didn't even really know. So it's definitely on that side. My family, knock on wood, I haven't had or haven't heard. My aunt struggled with it. She's an aunt by marriage, but by blood, I don't think.
But I even remember growing up or in elementary school, someone's grandparent or everyone is touched by it somehow.
Yes. You know someone.
Right. And then I think you learn about it from a younger age where you still don't fully understand it. But I feel so from a younger age, you just associate that person died. And then, and then as you get older, you understand there's more nuance, and that's not the case, but you're always, I feel even in whatever, for my mind anyway, I just feel that's the first thing you think of, even though it's 100%. That's not always blah, blah, blah. But you're gonna catastrophize. Oh yeah. Is that the right word? Catastrophize.
100%. That's what I did.
So when you first,
that was me. That was my 8-hour cry.
In Saskatchewan?
Oh, 100%.
That's okay. So you initially, especially as a mom, I feel you're thinking the worst possible case scenario.
I saw every birthday. I saw every Christmas. When they say if your life flashes.
Yeah.
That's all I did. The whole car right there.
Yeah.
And
that was the full day.
So that was when I really, really had that come to Jesus moment, I guess.
Yeah.
When
Jesus took the wheel.
Oh. Yeah. Good thing I wasn't driving.
Drove that wheel right off the road.
I never had that.
That's what I wanted to know.
I never had that. So
no, she didn't. She never lost it.
But okay, you didn't
I never thought I would die.
Okay,
to
that's
be
what
blunt,
I wanted to know.
I never thought I would die from it.
Shit, you're.
I know.
Gen Z's built different, dude.
Gen Xers,
I was scared.
Put me in the car and I'm done.
Yeah, I was scared of it. I was scared of chemo and all that stuff.
But you were more scared of the effects
symptoms.
Of going right.
I was scared of symptoms. I was but even that, I was nah, I'm invincible. It won't hurt me.
Nothing's
that bad.
worse than these surgeries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't.
So when you got your diagnosis and you had your finally your first cry or whatever,
it was about my hair. That cry was literally just about my hair.
I'm fucking Gen Z.
We've actually not even down a couple times, and it's been the hair.
Yeah,
that's a huge thing. That's a whole other thing because it's your identity.
With women, it is. Yeah. And even with men too. I think it's an identity for sure. And I think the only day we didn't cry is the day you got done.
How did that feel? Bringing.
Getting my hair cut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that was the most freeing experience.
But
of my life.
It was just you grieved
but I was,
it, and
I
then
was
you're
so
fuck
sick.
It, let's go.
I was so sick.
Don't care.
Yeah. I was this hair is honestly just being a menace, and it was everywhere.
I fantasized shaving my head.
Right?
Yeah, it was.
And you got.
I saw her, and I'm like, you look awesome.
Your hair looks super cute.
I look pretty badass when I was shaved. I was like, damn.
And it's curly and thick.
Oh,
it's coming in crazy now.
Yeah.
Okay. So wow. Okay, because
Yeah.
that was going to be one of my questions.
yeah,
And it's like if you catastrophize that as well.
I really don't think I did. But again, it was one of those things like I didn't have a minute to think
No.
about anything. Like
It was quick.
it was
The
so fast.
even chemo was so aggressive and so quick. Like we watch a ton of people online that have gone through, not what Jess went through, because that's so rare. Actually, the people that are the closest to her diagnosis are guys with testicular. Wow. So it's germ cell cancer, and that is like testicular cancer is often a germ cell cancer, I believe. It can be. Okay. And so actually a good friend of mine, her husband, I didn't know it until she reached out to me and she goes, I heard about Jess. My husband's literally 2 weeks ahead of her. So they will be at chemo together. They're both at London together. And we did. We saw him
every time.
We saw him ring the bell.
Oh, that was horrible.
We cried.
So
she was at her
emotional.
worst.
That
She was
was
at her.
emotional.
She was at her worst at that point. And
One of them, yeah.
yeah, one of the worst.
One of them,
ones.
a couple
So
peaks and valleys.
but-
We were like, we're so happy, but we're also so very jealous.
Yeah, it's such a weird experience.
It would
to,
be very
and,
conflicting.
like,
Every day
hearing
you
people,
hear that
hearing
bell.
people ring that damn bell.
Fuck you.
That literally was me
fucked.
every time. I was like, I hate.
If I hear
I was
that
like,
fucking bell over time.
it's like I hate myself for being like this, but I hate you. Like I'm so jealous of you right now.
So how long did you have to do chemo for?
She got 2 weeks dropped off at the end because one of the drugs was not.
I remember this.
Not
I remember
good.
you were like not
Yeah.
doing well. Like
My end date moved around so much.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be four rounds of 3 weeks, right? So the
Yes.
so each round is a 3-week round, and she had 4 back to back.
Okay.
So each round, each round is the first week is 5 days of chemo. Jesus. 3 different, well, is it 3 different chemos or just on the Tuesdays, the 3?
Yeah.
It's
So
very confusing. There's a lot of drugs, but the first week is 5 consecutive days. The second and third week is Tuesdays. She had this one drug that was the one that was really hard on her. Yeah. And then right back to 5 days. So there was never, like, a lot of people we were watching online had like
breaks.
a treatment every other week, or that'd be one treatment every other week, right? So you'd see them go through hell for a week, and then they'd have a week of sort of reprieve.
Yeah.
Like
But
kind
she
of
never
better.
got.
Reprieve? Don't know it. Never heard of her.
Never heard of her.
Not the whole time.
Yeah,
Which
so-
in a way was it kind of a blessing? I don't want to use that
No.
word. That
She
like
couldn't.
No.
We
Okay.
didn't
No.
get time to get her strength up.
No.
So
Okay.
So yeah.
So, yeah. So I kind of skipped over like the surgical removal of my ovary, but that was okay. Like that was a pretty good surgery. It actually ended up being pretty
She was
good.
gentle.
She was gentle.
good.
And also that came back as like kind of negative. So they found no cancer in anything.
Okay.
But I still had to do chemo.
But that made
because
chemo.
of the spill, like
Because of the
they were
potential.
like,
They were
well,
like, there still could be
this is good,
microscopic
but-
and we don't see it.
and but that was the hardest.
but knowing that I had to do
explain.
chemo and there might not be cancer in your body, it's like,
and explaining that to family members and friends that
It's
are
a
like, well,
headache.
why does she have to do it then? It's like,
just in case.
because
it
it's
could
that's
happen.
that's the protocol. It's just
yes.
what's written in the
Yeah.
scientific doctor papers.
Do you think you could have, if given the choice to not do the chemo?
I would have done it.
You would have
no,
done it.
I would have done it.
Well, because like
It's the guarantee. It's like I'm
yeah.
20 years old. I just want to know that it will
Right.
never come back.
Yeah.
They
'Cause, like,
actually went
if-
through the statistics too. Remember,
Yeah.
he went through the statistics and he said even with that full treatment, it's still like 93% effective.
Yeah. Like chemo's never 100%.
Like,
Right.
so anyway.
Especially you're freaking 20.
She's
Yeah,
20.
I know.
20.
She's 20.
And they're like, they're like, you're 20, you're young, you're healthy, you can do chemo. Like you'll get over it.
Do you want
pretty
to?
much.
No, but
Yeah, no, it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
But like you can do it.
Okay.
So I think the doctors constantly being like, this is not a questionable thing. Like you'll be fine. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
then I'm not gonna die.
Right.
Like that
Right.
always just kind of kept solidifying. Like, oh yeah,
I'm
I'll get over it.
I'm intrigued. I don't know what the word is. I'm impressed. I'm stunned that you did somehow keep such a positive outlook the whole time.
I
Is it
didn't.
the self-deprecation? That I'd
Like,
be like,
I did.
I fucking don't. I have nothing in me.
She was barely awake at all summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
chemo
incoherent.
did knock
Yeah.
the shit out of you.
So it wasn't
I
like a
didn't have-
lack of pessimism. You're just
like
I wasn't
honestly,
there.
my
You
brain
were pretty dark that first ended by the end of June when Jack was on you. Like, he's like, you gotta drink water. He was like, he's the only one that could get through to you. And you're like, I want them to take me to the hospital.
Yeah, that was rough. That
like,
was really
she's
rough.
never wanted to be at the hospital, but she's like, I don't want to.
Oh my God.
I can't. She couldn't drink water. She couldn't eat. She couldn't, like, move. She couldn't walk. She couldn't.
That was like halfway through chemo though. Like starting chemo. Yeah. So my chemo was every single day I had a drug. On Tuesdays, I had 3 drugs.
Yeah.
One of those drugs I'm allergic to.
Perfect.
Which we found out the hard way.
I remember this.
Yes.
We're at the Emerge for the first couple weeks.
Sorry, I keep backtracking everything you say, but
it's hard.
No, there's
so much. But yeah, so first day of chemo, I have this phenomenal nurse. She's actually like indirectly like a family friend's friend. Yeah. So she kind of knew us.
Actually, like, I think my friend must have
told her.
My friend this is again full circle. So Jess had texted me that picture, the picture of the new one in that January. My friend was at a curling bonspiel, like in Listowel or something. She goes, I'm on my way through. Can I pop in? I'm like, sure. She popped in. I said, Jess found this today. She's going to go see the doctor. So she's been she just has always checked in on me and how's Jess doing? Has she done this? So she's been my sort of go-to person. She's far enough removed, but she knows Jess really well.
Yeah.
And anyway, this nurse is basically, she's one of I think she's been there for quite a few years.
Yeah. At the chemo
really good friends of this friend of mine that has gone through every step of the way with Jess, with me, like through me.
Crazy.
Like, again, it's just
crazy.
like,
the universe just
it's
like
small world.
Small world.
It's to get you through, right?
Little slivers for you to hold on to.
These little unseen things that are happening that you're too busy to see. So I'm sure she was talking to this nurse and she put her on the very important list.
She put me on the VIP.
Yeah.
And so I signed in, and right away the register was like, oh yeah, I know who you are because I'm on the VIP board.
Oh my gosh.
And so I had this amazing nurse. She walks us through everything, and she's like, she gave mom her phone number in case like of an emergency. Like if she's like, if you ever want, like if you have a random question, just text me.
That's so nice.
It was so nice.
And it's just little offers like that.
Yes.
Even if you never take her up on it, just to know.
Yeah. But anyway, so she's like walking you through all the main things with chemo and like all the important symptoms to look out for and stuff like that. And something with chemo is as soon as you get a fever as soon as your temperature is over like a set number, I can't remember what it is, you need to go to the ER immediately because you have no immunity. So if you have a fever, they're like, something's wrong, you need to get checked out, that sort of thing. Tuesday drug comes along, find out I'm allergic, so it gives me a fever, and I go to the ER because that's what we were told to do, and I was so like out of it. That was a crazy like being in that ER. Mm-hmm. But anyways,
you're just so sick.
I was so sick.
Brutal headaches.
And they ended up they just pumped me full of Tylenol. They got my fever down. Finally found out I was allergic to this drug, so then I have to take extra drugs before getting this drug.
Oh my God.
Benadryl.
So I had to take Benadryl and some like heartburn medication
and kids' asthma.
Like
just
so
a
many things.
Just more drugs on
different
drugs.
kind of cocktail.
Drugs for drugs.
Drugs for drugs. And
wow.
Yeah, so going through chemo was a whole another experience, and I think because I was so sick through it, I just didn't know what was going on half the time.
You really didn't.
So like that probably kind of helped me in a sense. But yeah, like I was so
not
sick.
good for parents to watch.
No. And of course
that was rough. That was a rough summer.
Yeah, it was so bad.
And like also as a parent, I know, and like talking about empathy and like how whatever, I know I'm already like that. And then with me having kids, even just the last like week, I have noticed oh my God, like I feel like taking my daughter skating, and I know like they bring her out and then they skate away and she was by herself. Like I felt that and I felt sick to my stomach. I'm like, I know what she's fucking feeling right now, and I'm sick and I need to run out and get her because I'm like she's feeling sadness and I fucking feel it.
It's our little thread.
Yes. Or
it's our little umbilical cord that we can't see
yes.
still.
Andy took Edson to skating, and skating was great. But then Andy took my son skating, and then skating went fine. But then they were playing on the stairs after, and he just like missed 2 stairs and face planted on his face, and apparently there was blood everywhere. And this was last night, and Andy's telling me this story, and I'm like keeled over in the kitchen because I'm like, first of all, I can't do blood, but like I can feel it
in your face.
Like I can't. So I can't fucking even. I'm not going to, and I am horrified that as a mother, friend, person, whatever, you had to also, like, I cannot fucking imagine
it's the worst.
all the shit you were feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was bad.
It's the worst.
It was really rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't even have much to say about chemo because there's not even that much I remember.
There's like, a lot of, I will say this about chemo. I've drifted from a lot of people because I got a lot of questioning and all you need is as a support person for someone that has cancer or going through chemo, all we need is like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Listen.
You're doing good. Whatever you need. Do you need food? We don't need to be told what to ask the doctor.
No.
We don't need to like, what do you mean, Jess? Like, we don't need to be questioned. No. Like, we're dealing with a team of like highly intelligent and professional people, a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one thing. It's one thing getting it online. Like, I know what I'm in for. I just did not look at my comment section. Yeah. It is what it is. Gosh. Fully prepared for that fallout, but people close to you because they love Jess, like, with their entire being, that was the hardest to get through. For me, that was a big eye opener. It's just like, I just need to know you're here. I don't need to be questioned. Because sometimes I don't remember. I don't remember what the doctor said. Yeah. I know there was a reason, but I'm under so much stress. Like, and I don't even think you know what your body is under at the moment. No. So you really do.
You haven't been able to process anything.
Like, and it's like, well, do I have to ask the doctor for you, or is it just important that we know what's going on, right? It's like, I'm not going to come back here as a reporter. I just need you to be my friend or my family member. And you don't want to, like,
I don't want to relive it or whatever. Like, you don't you don't navigate the conversation. You just sit there and you feel that if I want to start talking about it, okay, let me talk about it.
And I get it, because I am the world's biggest questioner. Like, I will like, what do you mean? Well, what did they say? Well, it's fun. It's karma, because it came back full force on me. Now I know how it feels to be on the other end of that. But that was a big opener. I feel like I've really gone inward a little bit from people, and I'm sure that will evolve over time. But it's going to take time to get through that. But honestly, the whole thinking that we were going to crack and break, I thought for sure I'm gonna need therapy. I'm gonna need, and maybe I still do. Probably. I do. Yeah. But we were, honestly, all you can feel when it's done is relief. Yeah. It's just the sweetest. It's like I didn't breathe for a year, and then like ringing the bell, not even ringing the bell, because ringing the bell, it's like, you don't know she's done.
Yeah.
She's just done chemo
so
right
you still
now.
Had to have like a scan.
Like, like I wanted her to ring the bell when she's had the doctor's appointment, like a month later, and they're like, she's clean. Yeah. It's like, it's cool that she's done chemo, but we don't know if she's gonna need it again.
True.
Right? Also, that is like the most unsatisfying thing ever. After going through all of that, just to ring a bell. Ugh. It's like,
please.
She wanted the gong.
There's a huge gong that you can like slam.
You should just buy a gong.
Well, that's like, the radiation.
I was like,
they're both very valid.
I was like, can I just go
she wanted to ring
the gong or whatever the heck?
Oh my gosh. So how long after finishing chemo and between that and getting your results of your...
Oh, it's still...
a month?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe?
It was longer than that, because they weren't even going to do the scan.
So I had my scan in...
November.
And I finished chemo in August.
We didn't really know No.
January. November. Like yesterday. Okay.
Yesterday, basically.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Okay.
That was the day I was like, okay, this is done.
Okay.
Honestly, at that point, I was already like so far.
She was
over
done.
it. I was like,
Her hair was
okay.
growing back. She's good.
Yeah, whatever.
And she felt better. It took you 2 months to feel
Oh,
normal.
it took a long time. Yeah.
But also, you
Like,
even before
health-wise.
getting the final results or whatever, you also obviously have being so in tune with yourself.
Yeah,
the whole
I was
time.
like, I'm
you were
done.
like, I know it.
No, yeah.
So you
like
were,
going into that appointment, I was like, yeah, Mom, like we're done.
And I wasn't there. So there you go. We're totally.
But you were like ahead at one point, and then
Yep.
she caught up, and then you're all like.
And I felt very betrayed by myself too. Like I felt very like, oh, I can't trust anybody. I can't trust my instincts.
Yeah.
Because I should have known. And then
That's another
right.
parent
Like
thing.
oh, it's just like the
Did
mental
you think,
torment.
Were you like blaming yourself also from the beginning, like when you were having the first day, the Saskatchewan, Manitoba, whatever? Were you like, what? Like
How did I not?
ways of blaming yourself for
how
something?
did we not? How did we not know?
Yeah,
How did we miss this?
Yeah, that's I mean. I know looking back, like that's
Yeah.
not real. That there's no way.
Yeah.
But like I would do the same thing.
I think it was worse the day after when I saw her stomach. That was just
right.
like,
Sure.
how did I miss?
I would, yeah, that'd be like
Like,
fucking gut wrenching.
yeah.
As a
Yeah.
mom, that's
Yeah.
so hard. Oh my God.
Just the unspoken words between me and her doctor that never gives me eye contact ever in my how many years of her being my doctor. I'm like never
why are you
like
looking at me? Oh my,
you're like looking in my eyeballs.
burn into my soul. You'll never. I'm
Yeah.
sure you. I'm hearing the story. I'm like I can see.
Like
your
I
face.
always just assumed she thought my eyes were like my belly button because I've never seen her eyeballs.
We're serious.
Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you what
Oh
color her
my
eyes
God.
are.
Okay, so you're.
Anyway.
We rang the bell. Well, then we
Yeah.
waited another month or whatever.
Yeah.
And we got the. What was is just saying there, it was
It's a
clean.
it's a CT scan, and it came back that they didn't see anything suspicious on it. So that
And
was
then he
good.
said we'll set up how often do we see him now?
6 months.
Ultrasound every 6
Okay.
months.
Yeah. Or just even like a check-in. Like
Right.
they're kind of
Yeah.
like you don't need any more scans. Like
Because even at that point, like the chemo even was just like this was a
exact.
last not what's the word like
An aggressive
yeah
clean out.
just to
It's an insurance policy.
yeah
Just
so-
to make sure
so
you're
they're
okay.
feeling good about
Yeah.
it. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
and just a better prognosis, really.
Yeah.
Right.
At the end of the
Holy
day.
shit.
Yeah.
You guys.
It's a lot.
It's really a story.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And that's
when
just,
they,
like,
when they
everything I
say
can
you
remember.
don't know what's going on behind, like, and even I share a lot, but I didn't share it all. Like, you get little, get little glimpses of it, but it's like, oh God,
I
there was
remember
so
like
much more.
a lot of the story you just shared now. Like I remember
little bits and
bits
pieces
of it, but
Yeah.
obviously not. But and you both did like, and you shared a lot as well.
Yep.
So I was gonna ask earlier that like I was thinking, oh, like maybe all these things because it's so hard to keep track of. Would you have kept a diary? But like you kind of did keep a diary.
The videos were
Which is it hard? Do you? I don't know that you would ever watch them back. But
I
like,
have.
Is it like
No, I
holy
have.
shit? Who is she? That time was hard to. Or maybe is it
It's-
like you're
it's
seeing it for the
kinda-
first time because you don't remember even doing it the first fucking time.
It's kind of interesting just to watch back and see like there's so many things I'm like, oh my God, my voice was my voice sounded
different
different.
pitch.
Like
She couldn't even
there's
get a breath.
so-
Oh
yeah.
my God.
There's just so many things that looking back now, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was really going through the thick of it. Like, damn.
Yeah. And from
But-
sharing it though, like I feel like it's I don't know. I just feel like even though like it was a shit storm and it's not like something necessarily someone would be like, oh, this is it makes me feel better. Cause I have the same one. It makes me feel better. But oh, you had a terrible experience. It's like, I think so important still that even though it's like dirty, messy, depressing, awful, terrible,
Yeah.
but to share that like for someone that's going through anything remotely similar or someone who's not even personally going through it or knows somebody, it just helps kind of shed light. Even just me here, I've had experience with cancer, not personally, not directly myself, but my experiences are different from everyone else's experience. And just so hearing your story has even helped me for an instance where if I know someone who's going through it now, like it's like, oh, well, that made them feel that way or whatever. Like it's just so important. So have you had feedback?
Oh, I've had amazing
That's
feedback.
awesome.
Like the ones that like really hit home are like the other cancer patients, and
Yeah.
they're like, it makes me emotional.
Yeah.
Your walk in Kitchener, when you came home from that, you were like, I finally feel heard.
Oh.
Like it's sort of shitty because you're with other people that had to go through what you went through.
Right.
But you're all survivors.
Yeah.
So she's like, you can't, she's like, as much as I love everyone that's been with me through it, man, it's a different feeling when you get to talk with people that have gone through it.
Exactly. Because
right?
like that invisible string, there's something
it's probably
there that
a
no
lot.
one else
I
will
have
ever
equated,
understand.
I've equated this whole thing along just when I write and stuff to like someone that has to be on the front lines, like someone that has to go to war. And when you come out of it, if you come out of it through the other side, I mean, the only other people that really understand what you went through is another guy.
Exactly.
That has been with you through it, right? And it was a war, it was a battle. And and survivor is like, there is something to that, like the word survivor.
100%.
Yeah. No, those are the ones that like hit home for me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, you came back. I remember that day. I was just like, "Oh, she's had a good day." Oh. And who has a good day at a marathon?
Yeah.
Not me.
I walked it.
Yeah.
I walked the whole thing. I went the shortcut actually.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
It
No,
still
that was
Yeah.
and it filled my heart that day. I remember being like, what great people.
Yeah.
And they've been so supportive. The whole family have been very supportive to you.
Oh yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
because they've been through it.
And and it's so true. Because if I have I'll ask as many questions as I can or whatever, but I'll never understand it. And unless you're
And you don't
through it.
you don't want to,
No,
right?
right?
Like you don't want to. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The best way it was described to me was it's a club no one wants to be a part of, but it's like the most heartwarming club. Like in it.
It's very inclusive when you're in it. Yeah.
You're in it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, shit. That's
You did good.
that's a journey. I'm blown away by how again, optimistic, I don't know the word. Even though I know you were like incoherent, I know, but there was still obviously a part of you that you just somehow were able to stay. I don't even want to use the word positive, but like above. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? And
strong.
I just like really.
And I think
yes.
that's why we got through it, and we never really sunk to a dark place because she wasn't there.
Right. 100%.
Like even she might have had a couple really bad sort of days, but I think we wanted her out of it because that's not her. She's not like that.
Yeah.
So it was like our role to like get her feeling better. And, and that's when we put you on IVs and like we were putting IVs into her at home. And oh my God, there's like, this story could be a 6-hour story.
Yeah.
Therapy probably, guys. We probably do definitely line that up in the next few years because I'm sure you're going to be unpacking it for a long time.
Yeah.
And also quickly, also going back to, so is that technically like no, what did you have removed?
Oh, no, ovary.
No, so it's just ovary.
Ovary. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you had any downside effects from that since, or like, are you still feeling fine otherwise?
We don't know the full extent yet. Like, there's so many things, like, not only that, but like chemo also messes with so much stuff.
Sure.
So we don't know.
So,
anything
but I
really
mean,
about
like,
that.
but you haven't symptom wise, like you feel business as
I
usual kind of a deal?
For the most part,
No pain is what she's saying.
yeah, no pain. But yeah, I still have some weird, like,
some lingering side effects from chemo.
yeah, so it's so hard to like tell if it's from losing an ovary or if it's from, I'm guessing it's from chemo.
Or the multitude of
Or
surgeries
just-
and things.
yeah.
The ringer. You went through the ringer.
Exactly.
She really did.
Like I'm still not at full health yet.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah, it's so fresh. I
yeah,
know.
it's hard to tell if it's like, from
Right.
something else
Sure.
or what. So I don't know yet.
Right. And
We'll
you
see.
have you did do the egg extraction? Like you have
Yes.
are they like frozen
Yep.
somewhere?
They're
Is that how it
frozen.
works? Wow.
Yeah. So I have half Jesses somewhere.
Dude, that's trippy. Especially
know.
as
Let's
a
get some little.
Are
Especially
you
as a
21 now or are you still 20?
I'm 21 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy because
weird.
it's not
It's weird.
and it's like to have had to go through and make that decision even though you're like, well, I don't freaking know. When you're 20?
It's awful.
But you're like, well, I mean, I'd like the option. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I don't know if I want kids or not, but like, I don't. It's the idea of not having the choice in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that also, that sharing that part of your story and the fact that you did that, that's super important too, I think, for other people that they need to hear it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, give yourself the option if you can.
Yeah, like a lot of, like, when you get diagnosed with cancer, you just get thrown into it and they skip over a lot of that stuff. So I even had a few people comment on my TikToks and they're like, you had to do that? I didn't do that. They're like, should I have done that? And then it's like, you kind of go down the rabbit hole, like, should I have done that before doing chemo? Which, I don't know. But
maybe they had that case where they didn't have that person in their corner, like, advocating for that.
It's something to think about.
Yeah.
It's something to think about.
Well, and every single case is different. Like, even if they say,
sure.
I had the same thing, well, you probably didn't have the exact same
Right.
thing because no one has the exact same
and
thing.
even if you had a similar thing, how you respond to something, like,
Exactly.
it's
always
a
different.
personal,
It's always different.
Yeah,
oh my
every
God.
single person's diagnosis is unique to them.
Wow.
Yeah. So no one is an expert on someone else's cancer,
No.
even if they think they are.
Yeah.
And you don't even on your own cancer, you don't even know what's going on half
No.
the time,
Oh,
obviously.
God, no.
Holy
No.
cow.
No.
Wow.
It's a bit of a moving target.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
Well, I'm very, again, impressed with, like, I can't get over that I would have gone down dark right away. Like, bye. Like, no, like.
Her mom did that for her.
See, and that's
I
the
took
thing.
that out of your hands.
Right. Perfect. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Gen
And
X.
so, but even so like, even if you had kind of like catastrophized that and then maybe had a different perspective. So you didn't necessarily go that direction, but do you have like a different outlook on life since, or like, has your perspective changed in any way? Like, as far as how you're, I don't know, like, you're doing this book club, right? Like, we're making more time for shit we like to do and filling our cup.
For sure.
But otherwise, is it kind of like
Maybe mom more than
maybe mom more? Okay.
Jess. We do more
I
stuff
feel
together.
like I've always kind of been like kind of a go with the flow person.
Okay. This
So
is why.
it's like-
That's the word I was looking for. I think that is why
She's
it was the
like-
go with the flow
Yeah.
that helped, I guess.
So
Yes.
it's like, yeah, I'm more open to just like spontaneously doing things, but I'm like, but I kind of always have been. Like, I've
Okay.
always kind of just done whatever.
And I think that
like,
worked for you in this.
it
this
definitely
way,
probably did.
in a
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
But mom. Okay, mom. we did catastrophize. We
oh
did
yeah,
go
we
down
did.
that.
We did all the things.
So we went through a lot.
Yeah.
But so has your outlook, like, have you changed maybe how, like, since the bell was rung, again, that damn bell, I mean, since the month after that, do you look at even like your day to day a little differently now, or is it?
Yeah, I feel like I have time,
Okay.
which with me is not usually a good thing because it's funny. Like, when it was all done, I'm like, life is, now I'm going to make time, I'm going to do stuff with my kids. I'm going to meet with the kids like once a month. We'll take them out for supper. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then it's like, you fall back into
Which
old
is, maybe that's not a bad
habits
thing.
and old
Falling
life.
back into old regular
and
habits.
Work far too much. And what the couple things that have stuck really is reading has stuck as my first official hobby.
You're welcome.
That has not really turned into work. So that's been a joy, and it's been an escape, which is really good.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm more like, it feels, I've equated it often to being on maternity leave a little bit.
Okay.
Especially with this stuff, this content creation world.
Right.
It's just like,
I
it's a
can see
little
that.
like, I kept up to date with it as much as I could, but when you get back, it's like, why am I doing this? Still, like, you look at everything a little bit differently.
I am just very thankful that you guys, first of all, drove through somewhat of a snowstorm. And thank you so
every
much
day.
for sharing your story.
Yeah.
I feel like I did get doses of it that you guys did share, but
yeah,
it was,
that's the full story.
it's
It's a long story.
That's
It's-
the extended.
wow.
It's a
the
long
extended cut.
story. I don't think I've ever talked the whole story.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
so-
No,
the
I
first one.
I feel very honored that you did share all of that with me. And you are very inspirational. I know that's it sounds like fucking the cheesiest thing. Like, that's what someone would say after you tell them your cancer story on a podcast.
She
But
is.
like, it is.
It's been a journey.
And I'm
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you. Yeah. And I feel like I've fucking said that on your videos before. Just like for sharing your story while you were going through it. Like I'm just, you're helping more people than
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah. So you're amazing. And you're awesome. And I'm so sorry you both had to go through that because that's awful. Oh my God.
Well, we had Laurel and her funny reels and her funny videos to get us through.
Just to distract you with dumb shit.
Entertainment.
It is funny though. Like it's fun meeting people that Jess and I both like. So it's you have the right people when we both like.
Yeah. I mean, we are the same person, so usually we like the same people. But
you're the same person. I feel like we're the same person, so I feel like it's a good little triangle.
It works.
The 3 generations.
Amazing.
Yes.
Well,
3 generations.
Thank you again so much. And we're gonna do this again one day and not be so far apart. One year, want to do January 18th next year?
January 18th and a half.
Book me in for next January.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thanks,
Put us
guys.
on the map.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.